Go ahead, please.
Okay, Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. This is the AlMuaisim session. So today's session will be a general overview, primarily of just logistics. So this is not a fixed session about Muaisim, but a logistical session that will go over all the many movements, the what to expect, what to pack, anything that has to do with Muaisim. If you are here and you have a package that has Majra al-Kabsh as your camp in Mina or Saudi Hajj and Umrah, then this session is not for you. And we kindly ask that you leave the session just so you don't get confused. We're happy to have you, but this information that will be discussed is primarily just for those that have a package with Al-Maisam as their Mina camp. There are certain nuances and a lot of differences that deal specifically with Mayasam. So this session will be beneficial for those that have purchased that package. Inshallah, we'll have Brother Azhar with us for the next couple hours. He'll go through everything in detail. He has a very in-depth presentation for you. MashaAllah, he comes with years of experience. He's done this for decades. So we're very blessed to have him. We also have joining us Brother Fathi. He's one of the guides that's been in Maasam for many, many years. So he comes with a wealth of knowledge and expertise, as does Brother Adam. So welcome to both of you, Brother Fatih and Brother Adam. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you just want to turn your camera on just for a brief moment so everybody can see you, so they know who they'll be meeting once they get to Saudi Arabia. Welcome to the both of you, and thank you once again for joining. So, Brother Azhar, the floor is all yours. Take it away. Jazakumullah khair. And my name, forgot me. So I'm Arif. I'm one of the guides as well. I'll be joining you on the journey, and myself and Brother Azhar, we are two of the leads that kind of coordinate the overall logistics for the different Hajj packages, inshallah. Thank you, Brother Azhar.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Arif. Thank you very much for the introduction. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Indeed, all praises are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His peace and blessings upon our noble messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I thank you for taking the time this Sunday morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are, to attend this session called General Logistics for Hajj, and that is dealing with those who are going to be in AlMuaisim camp. My name is Azhar Zaidi, and what we're trying to do is pour our decades of experience into providing you this presentation. Now, I don't want you to get overwhelmed. You have all kinds of questions, and I know people do have questions. And what we normally do is we actually will disable the Q&A. That's because I don't want people to ask questions until after the end of the session, because chances are most of your questions will be answered during the course of the presentation. So hold tight and please keep yourself to the topic of general logistics. This is not the place for the fiqh session or the fiqh questions. Normally that would be held separately, and you'll have plenty of opportunity to ask questions when it comes to the fiqh of Hajj and fiqh of Umrah. I'm going to start the presentation, and here are a few things that I would like to mention to you that will be of benefit to you. So let me just begin with the presentation. I'm going to assume you all can see this. So this is a webinar that covers the logistics and the administrative aspects of your Hajj journey. It starts from pre-departure planning through to the end of Hajj. And again, because the logistics, transportation is different for those who are going to be on Muassim camp, this is specifically for them, those who are going to be in Muassim camp. Those who are staying in Majr al-Kabsh, for example, Mina camp, their webinar was held yesterday, and the recording of the webinar will be soon posted in the Hajj Guidance Network, the place where we normally post all the recordings of our webinar. So hopefully on Monday or Tuesday, it'll be posted. It was very extensive. I can tell you that it went on for 2 hours, and then we had Q&A, hundreds of questions. We went through all of that, but it was specific to Majal Kabsh, and this one is specifically to AlMuaisim. Now, you will gain the most out of this thing if you are attending this, not only that you are part of AlMuaisim camp, but that you understand your package. It is so important because remember, this is not a specific to a particular package. This is in general. We'll have the specifics. We'll have webinars, I believe it's the following weekend or the weekend after that, where we'll break down, for example, the 14-day package for Sira, the 14-day package for Ikram al-Dayf. We'll have those specific itineraries. Between this one and that one, it will probably gel completely. You'll understand it. But for now, do you know your package? Do you know what you purchase? Are you going to Medina first or are you going to Mecca first? Do you have the package that is shifting accommodations in Mecca or non-shifting accommodations in Mecca? If you know this, it will be helpful to actually go through this webinar with me. Excuse me. Because I do refer to the logistics of a shifting package versus a non-shifting package. So please know your package that you purchase. You still have time to look it up if you don't know what your package is. If you know your hotel in Medina and Mecca, it'd be good for you to understand it because I will show you your hotel in a map so you can understand the distances, you can understand where it's located. So it's important that if you want to gain the most, you please know your package. Second, I know you have questions, and I've already got people posting questions without even going through the webinar. They just want to get it out there. And what tends to happen if I keep the Q&A open, it tends to get overwhelmed with duplicate, triplicate, quadruple questions, everybody asking the same thing, something that has been already addressed or will be addressed in the course of the webinar. That's why I turn off the questions and I'll open it up in the end. What will benefit you if you sit down with a paper and a pen and as I go through it, you make notes. Something that intrigues you, you make notes. If it resolves, then great, you have the answer. Make notes of it. People ask, where is the checklist? Can you give me a checklist? If I gave you a checklist and I tell you in the checklist that you need to take rehydration salts for you to rehydrate in hot weather, the second question you'll ask me, well, where will I use it? So instead of having a checklist with all the things in it, what I've done in this presentation is I've actually shown you where these will be used. So you have some context. So that is why the checklist is not just one all-inclusive checklist. It is shown as we go through in different parts of the journey where you may consider getting something or using it in a particular way. So make notes for yourself during the presentation. And once you have your notes and you have your questions, at the end of the session, if it's not already answered, then you can ask your questions. We'll try to take as much of the questions as we possibly can. As I mentioned, yesterday's webinar went over. It was about 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I expect this will be somewhere similar. Now, your questions should be limited to logistics and admin. Don't ask questions about the fiqh of Hajj, and because that's a separate session. I don't want you to mix it up. The combination of the spiritual session and the administrative session prepares you for the journey. But remember, we will all be on the ground with you, and we'll be able to address both your administrative and the spiritual aspects of a journey. So this two-track will continue. But limit this one to the administrative and logistical aspect. Concentrate on just that, and you'll have the opportunity to the fiqh session, inshallah. Okay? Let me begin by mentioning to you as to who is responsible for delivering the services to you. The delivery of the services to all of the pilgrims is owned by the Saudi Hajj service provider companies, right? So it's Ikram al-Dayf, it's Sira, it's Yusr al-Mashayir. They are the ones to deliver it. I'd hope nobody's here from Saudi Hajj and Umrah because that's a separate package altogether, and they stay in Saudi Towers in Mina. That's a separate logistical packages. You shouldn't be part of this webinar because you will get confused by listening to what I have to say. So they are responsible for your airline arrangements, accommodations in the kingdom, all types of transportation within, and services within the camp, that's in Mina and Arafat and Muzdalifah, and much more. What's the role of the Hajj guides? And the Hajj guides are assigned by them in a supporting role to deliver the services to you. But the ownership resides with the Hajj service provider companies. I'm going to display and I'm going to go through some of the things as to how this will happen, how transportation will be, etc. But you should understand that there are too many variables that could change that. Too many things could happen that could change that. And that's the nature of Hajj itself. We are used to getting the T's crossed and the I's dotted from the beginning to the end. That's not how it works over there. It's very dynamic. You're looking at 2.5 million people showing up from different backgrounds, different cultures. Things do not necessarily always go smoothly. But we're going to be there with you and we're going to be honest with you with respect to what is happening and what has changed. But know that as I present this thing, that there is information that's here that is subject to change because of circumstances beyond our control. So here they are. I'm going to walk you through these topics. Important considerations, things you should consider. Hey, should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? I must do it. It's nice to have. I want you to consider that. I'm going to briefly go through a checklist. It's not an exhaustive checklist, but it is something you can cross off. Yep, I've got this. Yep, I've got that. It applies to me. Then we're going to start with your journey, departure from here, from United States, from Canada, from UK, from Australia, departure from here. What happens if I'm going through transit? If I'm transiting in Istanbul, what if I'm transiting somewhere else? And then I'm going to talk about those who are arriving in Jeddah. Because we have some people that are starting in Mecca first. Know your package. If you're starting in Mecca first, it will apply to you as to what you do differently than those who are coming into Medina. Right? Mecca first people have to have their ihram on and enter into the state of ihram in the aircraft before they land. Medina first don't have to be in ihram. So I'm going to just make that distinction. Then you arrive in Medina and stay in Medina, and then you move from Medina to Mecca and stay there. And then some of you are going to stay in Aziziyah. You might say, what is Aziziyah? Aziziyah is a suburb of Mecca. Some of the accommodations are there, and you will understand it better in the course of the presentation. Then we're going to get into the specifics of the Mashayar. These are the 5 days of Hajj. This is the reason why you're going, and that is the camp in Mina and moving onwards to Arafat and Muzdalifah, and then coming back to Mina and Tawaf al-Ifada or Tawaf al-Ziyara, Rami Jamarat, when you go and throw stones at the Jamarat, and then the end of Hajj. All these will be covered one by one, inshallah. So let's start with important considerations. The first one would be the vaccination requirement. I have gone through their requirements and I have distilled it down to a very simple requirement. What is actually required? What is mandated? What is a must? And the only thing that is a must is that you must have meningitis vaccine. People ask me, what about COVID? Well, COVID is not a must. It is something they're saying we recommend. You don't have to have it. So I don't want you to go out and get this shot and that shot because you think you have to have it. The only thing you must have is meningitis, right? And there are two types. Number one, the meningitis vaccine must be administered to the person going at least 10 days prior to your arrival because it takes 10 days to work through your body to get you that immunity, right? That you have. So if you're going to arrive, excuse me, on May the 18th, then you must have had your vaccine done by May the 1st, for example, or May the 2nd, or May the 10th, but no later than that. That's the reason why we're mentioning it here. And as far as, oh, I already had a vaccine. I did it before. I went for Umrah a year before, 2 years before. If you had a vaccine that also has an expiry date, and they're telling you there are two types of vaccine and the expiry date, right? The polysaccharide vaccine is good for 3 years. The conjugate type is good for 5 years. So you have to know which one it is. And the reason why this is required is because you need to carry a certificate for this vaccine with you. There have been times when people are getting off the plane, and as they're walking towards their baggage claim, there's people standing there and asking for, can I see your vaccination certificate that you have been vaccinated? So they know which flight this is and where you're coming from, and they demand this from everyone. Second part. So if you're not vaccinated for meningitis, go get yourself vaccinated. If you have been vaccinated and you have the certificate, go check the date on it to make sure that it is within 5 years and so forth. Second thing, people have asked about preparing their last will and testament. We actually had a webinar on this, and the recording will be found in the Hajj Network. However, it depends on the state you're living in or the province in Canada or on Australia. So consult with your provincial or state lawyer in order to prepare your will and testament. But if you are going to do this, I would strongly suggest you get it done sooner than later. Get it done now and not 2 days before travel. Make sure you consult your family and make you decide if you want to do this. It may take a longer process. That's why I want you to get it done as soon as possible before travel. Communication during Hajj is of paramount importance to us, and it should be to you as well. What what I'm going to share with you is what you need to carry with you and what should be available to you to be able to communicate. Number one, every single person should have a smartphone. And on that smartphone, you should have WhatsApp. Because right now, if you're getting invitation to join WhatsApp from us, it's a general WhatsApp. But eventually, you will have your own WhatsApp. What do I mean by it? Well, let's say if you're in Ikram 402, that will have a separate WhatsApp. Then you are in Sira Executive A, there'll be a separate WhatsApp. Executive B will have a separate WhatsApp. So we will divide it up so that there is one WhatsApp basically for each Hajj guide. And that makes it a smaller group and therefore more effective communication because the guide is present in that WhatsApp group as such. And so it's important that you have WhatsApp loaded. We'll go through it. Somebody will say, well, how come we didn't have WhatsApp now? And how come it's all Telegram? We did Telegram earlier on because in Telegram, you don't display your phone number. When we had WhatsApp a few years ago, it was hacked and people were getting phone calls from African continent and they were trying to actually, scam you. And so we decided not to use in the beginning. Let's leave with Telegram. Once we solidify as to who has purchased the package and what package it is, we'll bring them down. Now we will know exactly who has joined which group. So we know exactly we have the right people in the WhatsApp group, and therefore WhatsApp becomes the main means of communication. Second thing is you should also have downloaded either the Apple version or the Android version, depending on the phone you have, a Nusuk app. Now, the Nusuk on the website, where you went in and purchased the package, where you went in and put your money through, that is a website. That is a portal through which you purchase Nusuk or Hajj package. The app is separate. The app is required for you to be able to actually make an appointment or create a permit to visit the Rawda in Medina al-Munawwara. Is it must to visit the Rawda? No, it's not. But while you're there, you want to actually try and maximize it as such. We will ask the service provider to see if we can get a group permit, but that's not guaranteed. So at least go out there and get the app downloaded, and when it opens up for the time you'll be in Medina, you can go and make an appointment. So while you're in Medina, you can visit the Rawda. That's what the Nusuk app will be used for. So again, you'll be invited to join your Hajj group using this platform, and you will be able to use this platform to communicate. The group leader or the Hajj guide will communicate with you, and that will be the major means of communication. WhatsApp and the Nusuk will be only used for going and praying in the Rawda. Okay, that's the messaging aspect of the phone. Then comes the actual use of the phone. So if you already have a global voice and data plan from your home country, let's say you went out and bought an international roaming, international data plan from Bell or from AT&T or T-Mobile, whoever you're using over in your home country, then that's good. As long as it covers you in Saudi Arabia and you can use that to make phone calls, receive phone calls, or use the data to get on the internet or be able to use messaging outside the Wi-Fi zone, then you're good. But if not, then I would suggest you go out and purchase a SIM card in Saudi Arabia. Now you might say, wait a minute, when I went through Hajj Nusuk, it had the option of a SIM card. Yes, they do provide you that option of a SIM card. But our previous experience, last year and the year before, is that while the service provider offers you this option for a SIM card, we still have to wait for the guy to show up at the hotel to give you the SIM card. And sometimes they don't show up on the day you arrive. Sometimes they show up the day later. And then when they show up the day later, it turns out that they actually go out and give you a few SIM cards and then they're out of it. They'll come back the next day. So this is not on demand. This is when it's available, when they're available. I'm pretty sure they're spread thin as such. So it's better for you not to rely on that and go out and purchase a SIM card. How much will it cost you? Less than 20 bucks. Less than 20 bucks USD will give you a 15 gig SIM card that will cover you for the entire Hajj period. Okay. So it's good for you to have one. Now, if you all don't have a SIM, a physical SIM in your phone, you can do and get yourself an Air Elo eSIM. That works as well. So you can buy an eSIM as well, right? So I'm saying, yeah, you might have selected that option in Nusuk, but don't rely on it because they may not be there because you want to use the phone as soon as you get there and you say, I want to tell my family that I'm okay. So this is one way of going and purchasing a SIM card, and you have to appropriately choose the package. Will help you with it. There are service providers right near the hotels where you'll be in Medina or in Mecca. But remember that to purchase the local SIM, they will ask you for a copy of your passport or your visa because they encode the SIM to that person. They want to know who the SIM is issued to. So again, you'll have to carry that with you, and I'll cover that later on. Last thing is, if you're going to use a physical SIM, make sure your phone is unlocked from your carrier. If you have an AT&T SIM and that only allows AT&T SIM in your phone, then you cannot take that SIM out and put a local Saudi SIM. It will not work. You have to make sure your phone is unlocked. Most of the phones come unlocked to the last few years, but I want you to check to make sure that your phone is unlocked so that you can use any other company SIM in it. Now, do I always have to use SIM? No. But when you're in the hotels in Mecca and Medina, the Wi-Fi is available and it's at no charge. And the Wi-Fi is pretty good. There are times when it will be a bit slow, and that's understandable when you have so many people. People when they finish their prayers, they get on their phone. So the network takes on the load and becomes a little bit slow. Or if you're in Mecca, for example, in this clock tower building complex, that's a concrete building. There might be some spots where the signal is not as strong. Other than that, it's pretty good. You can use it for messaging. Yeah, I've had no issues with using Wi-Fi as such. But if you're thinking of, hey, I don't need my SIM, I can use WhatsApp to make phone calls on WhatsApp, a live call. Well, that doesn't work because that has been blocked over by the authorities over there. Okay, it may work with your North American phone number, but I've also found that to be spotty. So don't think that you can make live calls on WhatsApp. You can send voice notes, you can send videos, you can send messages, you can send pictures, but live calling, no, it's actually blocked. You may use IMO or FaceTime or other apps to make the calls with Wi-Fi. That would work, but WhatsApp-based calling does not work. The bottom line here is this: each person should have the ability to make or receive calls and access internet outside the Wi-Fi zone. So when you're not in your hotel, when you're lost, God forbid, somewhere in Mina, who do you contact? How do you contact if you have no ability on your phone to contact or to send messages? You're going to be outside completely the Wi-Fi zone when you're in Mina and Muzdalifah and Arafat. So it's important for you to have a phone that you can use to connect, message or call or receive call from someone, God forbid, if you need to, when you're away from the Wi-Fi zone. That's important. And I suggest that if you're going as a couple or as a family, that each person should have one. Right? Now, I'm going to share the phone. It's okay. We've had instances where the wife, I don't know where she is. Well, let's contact her. Oh, she doesn't have a phone. Well, see, let's not do that. Just think ahead and make sure there is a phone that everybody has that is reachable by them or by us in case we need to. Now, Hajj is going to be in hot weather. I know that a couple of years ago, not last year, the year before that, the temperature went up to 48 degrees Celsius. It was boiling, right? Basically. Last year it was hot. And this year, what I've done is I've taken the temperature that is shown to me by Google as to what is the average for the month of May. And you can see that at the bottom. Average for the month of May is between 100 and 109 Fahrenheit, and that's 39 to 42 Celsius. That's the average. And since it's towards the end of May that we're going to be in the Mashayat, in Mina and Arafat, I would think it'll be more towards the 109 or higher, because that's an average, then it'll be towards 100. Bottom line, it's going to be hot. And when you're outside and it's hot, you perspire. And you perspire, you lose far more than the actual bodily fluid. You lose actually your salt and your sugar content in your body. You become weak. And so it's important for you not just to drink to actually rehydrate yourself, but also maybe have some electrolytes in your drink. Have those enhanced drinks like a Gatorade type of drinks. It comes in pill forms, that melts into the water. It comes in powder form. But if you have issues with sugar and so forth, do consult your doctor. We had no issues with it, but I can tell you this is used. And this is used where? This is used mainly in the Mashayar. You probably won't use it in Mecca and Medina when you're staying in the hotel and just going to the Haram. But when you're in Mina, and especially when you're in Arafat and Muzdalifah, you'll end up using this. So don't go out and buy a wholesale, just buy some that you can have. If you buy more, you can always share with your fellow pilgrims. And so we would suggest you take electrolyte enhanced tablets or powder for you to use to replace your electrolytes when you perspire over there. A lot of people also want something to actually feel fresh, to refresh themselves. I've seen people use a wet towel, like a sports towel, a small one that has perforations in it. You can wet it and put it on your neck. People actually use a spray bottle. Wait, don't go out and buy spray bottles. Last year they provided that over there, so maybe they will. I will let you know what each service provider will provide. They haven't listed that yet, but when they do, we will actually send that out to you. That this service provider is providing these things, so you don't go out and buy those things. It'll be provided to you. Very few people will take a cold pack. These are small plastic bags that you actually squeeze it. It activates the cold aspect of it, and you can use that, put it on your neck, on your face to cool down. And again, potential use of this type of thing will be where? In Arafat, when you're outdoors, or when you're waiting in line in Arafat to board the train to Muzdalifah. There's a long line there, or Muzdalifah. So you can see it's always in the Mashayar, right? So consider this per se. You don't have to go out and buy one of each. Just consider, do I need it? Is a wet towel sufficient? There are coolers that have drinks in it and they put ice in it. I sometimes use the wet towel and dip it in that cooler and just squeeze it, and that's cold enough for me to use. I could use that. And so it's up to you, right? Remember, it's going to be hot. Number three, prolonged exposure. Avoid prolonged exposure to the sun. Hey, can you find a shade? Stay in the shade. It's okay to stay in the shade. Even outdoors, when people go and stand in Arafat, they look for a shade. Maybe there's a tree and you can stay under the tree. So again, be mindful of being too long out in the sun. If you are sensitive to sunlight, you can definitely use a sunscreen, a perfume-free sunscreen, right? Per se, that will help you, from the exposure to the sun. But you have to remove it completely when you're making wudu. But at least you'll have yourself covered when you're standing out in the sun. It's not necessary, but if you're really sensitive to sunlight, you may consider that. The number five is important to me. Pace yourself. Take plenty of rest. People when they go there, they're so excited that they don't actually get enough rest. Right off the bat, if your program starts in Medina, you're going to arrive there and you're going to go for tahajjud at 3 o'clock in the morning. Then you're going to stay up at Fajr time and you're going to have Fajr prayers. And you're going to go and have breakfast. And then you barely get 2 hours of sleep. Then you're running to the masjid for Dhuhr and Asr. You know what? This pace will last maybe 3 days or 4 days. And you're going to weaken and you're going to get sick. You don't need to do any of that. Make sure you pace yourself. It's important for you to know your own self and pace yourself. You may want to help your immune system by taking some daily vitamin supplements. People take vitamin once a day. Maybe you want to consider taking that with you, multivitamin, to help you get some energy and improve your immunity. Some people will do, and I would suggest you do, and that is take some energy bars. Where we'll use the energy bars? Again, during the 5 days of Hajj. You don't want to eat too much food. You might want to just take energy bars when you're kind of low, mid-morning, early evening kind of thing. So consider taking some energy bars for the manasik. So you understand why the checklist is not a checklist included, but I'm giving you a context in which you may consider taking certain things. Clothing. It's going to be hot, so wear light clothes. Very simple. If you have cotton clothes that breathe, it's better. For the men, it's the thobe. The Saudi thobe is so comfortable. I only wear my pants and shirt in the aircraft, going there and coming back. The rest of the time, I've got thobe. I've got 5 or 6 of them that I'm going to take with me, and I'm going to put that on as such. Or shalwar kameez, that's pretty baggy, and that's pretty good. Or baggy pants. If you're not used to thobe, but you always wear pants, make sure you're buying pants that are loose, that breathes. Don't wear tight pants. Don't take jeans, for example, right? Same thing applies to women, shalwar kameez and baggy pants. If you're going to wear an abaya, right, so you don't have to have something pretty thick inside. The women actually cook. The head is covered. They have an abaya on, So basically, you have to have something very light because you're not going to actually remove your abaya except in your room. So we can wear something very light that breathes inside to dress yourself for hot weather. Now, purchasing food outside, normally two meals are provided, breakfast and dinner, right? And that's normally sufficient. But if you have to go out and buy something, don't go buy something in the street. Buy something in a food court. Make sure you understand that you're buying something that should be all hygienic because they actually inspect that every so often. But in the rush of Hajj, sometimes you might end up buying something on the street that may not be feasible. I'd rather not buy anything on the street. I'd rather go to a food court and see what's available if I have to actually buy something. What I tend to do is if I have to eat something in the afternoon, I keep some snacks in the room. I don't buy anything, something snacks. Fruits are good. I'll have some fruits there. I'll have some dates there. I'll have some, crackers or cookies. They normally provide, tea. That's the tea and water. So that's basically what I would do rather than actually go and buy food outside. But nothing's stopping you from buying it. But be careful when you're buying it from outside. Then comes consideration for wheelchair. When people say I need wheelchair when I go there, we have to understand what does that mean because there are several variation to the options for wheelchair. Number one, you need wheelchair at the airport because it's a long way to the aircraft. In that case, once your ticket is issued, and I think we have a timeline for that, I think it's the week after next, you should have your international ticket. Once that is issued, call the airline, give them your ticket number and your name, and tell them you need wheelchair assisted. They will put that request in your file. And that will be for the departing airport, the transit airport, and the return airport. So that will be for those who are flying and require wheelchair assistance. Number two, but I need wheelchair only for tawaf and sa'i. So when I get to Mecca, I cannot walk for tawaf and I cannot walk for sa'i in that crowd. Can I have somebody with a wheelchair who can push me around and I'll pay that person? In that case, you will find real, authentic, appointed by authorities people that have wheelchair. You can see them wearing a vest that have a number on it. And what you do is you come down with your Hajj guide from your hotel. When you approach the Haram, they'll come to you and you say, I want to use your services. The wheelchair is with that person. You just have to negotiate the price and the drop-off place. Important for the drop-off place because Marwa is on the other side of the Haram. So if you're in the clock tower building, for example, and you're staying in one of those hotels, you tell them, no, I want you to drop me off back here, not in Marwa. How much will it be? And your Hajj guide will help you negotiate. And then you actually take that money and you sit in the chair and you pay for the service at the end of your trip, not when you're done with Umrah, when he brings you back to the designated place that we agreed to. Now, what does that mean is you have to carry some extra cash for this service, right? So generally, I would say more like $150 US would do it. So if I'm going there for Umrah, I'm going to pay them, let's say $150 for Tawaf and Sa'i. And if I'm going to do Tawaf al-Ifada, maybe if it's Tawaf and Sa'i again, I'll pay another 150. And if I'm doing Tawaf al-Wada and just the Tawaf by itself, maybe I'll pay 120 or 100. So carry some extra cash based on this estimate for those who require wheelchair service with an attendant pushing you. Okay. Some people will say, well, can I go and use a golf cart? The authorities there have golf cart service. Yes, you can. But the service is available on the roof of the Haram. So you still have to get to the roof to get this service. And sometimes I have found that there's a lineup. So you get to the roof to get the service and there's a waiting period. You could be waiting there for an hour and a half before your turn comes. But they will provide that service and it's an excellent service from the golf cart. It's about 200 riyals today and hopefully it'll remain the same for Hajj. So 100 riyals for tawaf and 100 riyals for sa'i. So you can do that for both tawaf and sa'i. Pay them and they will take you with golf cart around the Kaaba on the roof for your tawaf. You stop for the 2 rakah and then of course they'll do the same thing for sa'i. There's another option that people use that I have not specified here, which is some people want to actually do tawaf on their own feet. They have some difficulty walking, but they'll manage the tawaf. But sa'i is longer than tawaf is, generally speaking, right? Sa'i, Safar to Marwa is 400 meters one way. So basically, you're walking about 3 kilometers by the time you're done your 7 rounds. That is to say, if you're walking straight. So to me, some people will say, can I use a wheelchair in Sa'i, but I will walk during Tawaf? You can. So you finish your tawaf, you finish your 2 rakah, you drink your zamzam, and when you get to Safa, you'll find people with wheelchairs, and you negotiate with them how much will it be? 100 riyals, 150 riyals, and you sit in the wheelchair, and they'll take you for the 7 rounds in Safa and Marwa. So that's another option that you have. Number four is, I need wheelchair for many other things, just not just tawaf and sa'i, but I have a family member. It's important to have a family member because we cannot give you somebody. We cannot hire somebody for you. This whole notion that can you hire somebody for me to do Hajj from Mina to Arafat? No, it's not just simply hiring a person to push your wheelchair in Mina and Arafat and Muzdalifah. You're also having that person occupy the space in the camp. He's going to eat. He's going to perform Hajj. And so and that is very restricted. As to the authorities will restrict as to who comes for Hajj, only those that have permit or have Hajj visa. So really, you're actually having to hire a person who's going to perform Hajj with you if you want that person to push the wheelchair as such. So that's very restrictive. We don't encourage that. I don't think it's possible to do that. So don't expect that we'll be able to hire somebody during the manasik of Hajj just to push wheelchair. That is not going to happen. So if you have a family member that's going to help you, yes, you go there and you buy a wheelchair. It costs 300 riyals, less than $100 actually. They sell them in the pharmacies, right? And you have that family member push you, whether you're going for ziyarah, whether you're going for salah, the family member can push you to the wheelchair as far as you can go and do your prayers and come back. They can also push you if you don't want to use the service of a person with a wheelchair for tawaf and sa'i, they can push you for tawaf and sa'i. But know that the wheelchairs are not allowed in the courtyard of the haram. So you're not going to be on the ground floor. The wheelchair people performing tawaf and sa'i are on the masjid side, the longer one in the building, right? On the first floor, second floor of the roof, but not in the mataf, because a lot of people get injured in the mataf. So they've stopped the wheelchairs to go in the mataf. Now, when you're going to use the wheelchair in the manasik of Hajj, then when you're going to take it to Mina, then make sure that it is locked because you won't be able to take it inside your camp, inside your tent. So if it's going to be outside, take a small bicycle lock and make sure you lock your wheelchair so that nobody else picks it up seeing a wheelchair sitting outside the tent. What happens in the end? You donate your wheelchair for Hajj, right? Somebody else will use it and you'll get the thawab for it. So these are the categories of wheelchair that we think of. Electrical power. Now we use 110 in North America. They use 220. I know 220 is used in UK, but they have a different type of plug that goes into the wall outlet. So here's an example on the left side of the plugs that you'll find. A 2 round pin plug or a 3 flat pin, the UK style plug. That's the type of plug that goes into the wall outlet. So you need an adapter. Make sure you have an adapter from Amazon, somewhere else that you can actually plug your device on the back of it, and the front will go into the wall outlet. The types of adapter that you see. Here's the adapter that shows the different types of plugs you can have on the back side, right? The front and the back. So this is important. Now this means that your device can run on 220 volts. It does not reduce the voltage. It simply allows your device to be compatible to the wall outlet that they have. So your device that runs on 220 volts would be things like your phone, your iPads, for example, your laptop. I don't know if anybody's taking laptop. I think CPAP machines also are good for 220 volts. Make sure you check the voltage of any electronic device you're taking with you to make sure it will work with 220 volts, right? And that's important because all you're doing is you're not reducing the voltage. You're actually using an adapter to plug it in. Now, when you're in the manasik of Hajj, in the camp in Mina, in Arafat, these are temporary places. They don't have permanent electrical. They will have some, and the plugs will be there in the camp. So it's important. In a Muzdalifah, there's nothing. It's important that you carry with you a power bank, and we recommend at least 20,000 milliamps power bank, and make sure this power bank is fully charged before you go to Mina, right? Because what that means is that if you can't find an electrical outlet, especially there is none in Muzdalifah, at least your phone is charged. You know how many times people will say, well, I couldn't make a phone calls because my phone was dead, because I didn't charge my power bank. So these are the things to consider. Take it, make it fully charged, and minimum we recommend is 20,000 milliamps. So you'll have the phone. This will give you at least 2 or 3 charges while you're there in the manasik of Hajj. And when you do have time, when you're back to Mina, you can actually plug it in and charge your power bank. But at least you have extra power with you when you need it in the mashayikh. In regards to the luggage, if you are in an economy class, for example, then I would say that you look at, excuse me, you look at the things that you're going to carry with you. Normally, economy class would means one suitcase. You're allowed two pieces. You can take two pieces in the flight. If you're taking a group flight from North America or from Australia, they allow it, but normally people take a single piece. So just follow the airline's rules, but at least one piece will be allowed, and that would be about 50 pounds at 23 kilograms. This has everything. This has your clothes, that has your toiletries, that has all the things you need, and then a roll-on bag, which is the type of a bag that goes in the overhead bin in the aircraft, right? That's the size of the bag. And so that also is allowed in the aircraft, which is about 15 pounds or 7 kilograms. And then what we also ask you to do is use a backpack, a small backpack for you to use when you're in the Mashayar, because you're not going to drag your roll-on bag between Mina and Arafat and Muzdalifah. We're going to show you exactly how these two bags are used, right? And this is basically your luggage in an economy class. We'll share that with you later on. So a suitcase for everything, a roll-on bag or a hand carry luggage, and a backpack. And now, if you want to take any extra personal items, the ladies will take a purse. That's also in addition to this. That's fine. Now here we go, the checklist. So use this as a checklist as a means of making sure that you have everything ready. Excuse me. Number one, you have a valid passport. Now, the question people ask, do I keep my passport while I'm there? Well, last year we had one service provider that kept the passport for a couple of days to do some documentation, then returned it to you. Another service provider allowed you to keep the passport. So it's too early to tell, but if you are going to keep your passport, please make a nice copy. A colored one will be better, and keep it with you. This is precautionary. What's the precaution? You're going to have your passport with you. God forbid if you lose it. How are you going to come back? How are you going to go back to your country? So you have to go out and contact the authorities and tell them you lost your passport. You have to file that report, but you have to show who you are. So a copy really is helpful with the US consulate or the Canadian consulate or the Australian consulate. So that's the reason why you have a copy. Nobody else asked for it, but you can also use this copy to get a SIM card if you want. But make sure your passport is with you and you have a copy separate from it. Make a copy of your Hajj visa. When you get the Hajj visa, it has started being mailed to you. It's going to be mailed to you. Another thing you should get into the habit of is checking your spam folder twice a day, because sometimes the email will end up in the spam folder and you will say, I never received it. Please check your spam folder twice a day. If your Hajj visa arrives there, download it, print it. Take a soft copy, take a hard copy, but that is your Hajj visa. Now, anybody who's going with a green card in the United States or permanent resident card in Australia or Canada, no, you don't need the card over there. Nobody will ask you for the card, either at immigration. Nobody requires the card. But you will need the card to return home, because that's the only way you can prove to the airline when you're checking in for your return flight that you are a resident of the country. And so they will give you the boarding card. So the green card is to be taken with you, kept secure, only to be used when you're returning back home. And so make a copy of it because you're taking the original with you. Again, the reason for it is, God forbid, if you lose the, the original. Number four is your airline ticket. Brothers and sisters, there are people that get the airline ticket, they're excited, they're happy, but they forget to read it. And they end up panicking in the last day. I didn't think my flight was at this time. I thought it was PM, not AM. Please read your airline ticket. Understand exactly where your flight is and understand exactly which terminal it'll depart from and what time it'll depart from. Right? It's important for you to know this. Don't be late, don't be hasty, don't panic at the end. Plan properly. Get your airline ticket, read it, understand it, so you know exactly when to get to the airport. Number five is, remember the one and only vaccine that's mandatory, which is meningitis. Make sure you have proof of that vaccination, right? And that should be a piece of paper that has the date of the vaccine, the type of vaccine that is given to you, and the stamp or the signature of the authority or the person that gave you the vaccine. So that was required. That is something you need to carry with you because they sometimes demand as soon as you land to see that you have been vaccinated. It does travel documents. In terms of cash, people ask me, well, how much do I take? Well, depends. I mean, if you're not including any personal expense or gifts, right? Not including gifts, $500 US per person is more than sufficient. I think you'd probably end up saving some money. So if you already paid for your sacrifice, if you already paid, I know we will ask people to ask, what about sacrifice? That's something we have planned for. We'll actually connect with you to, if you have not paid, so that you can pay through us. So it'll be arranged for the sacrifice. But for now, just consider this to be $500 that you carry with you, right? And that is for any incidental expenses, any, I want to have a snack in the afternoon, or I like small things here and there, but not necessarily for large gift shopping. However, if you are going to use the wheelchair services for tawaf and sa'i that I mentioned earlier, $150 for each time you use it, and there are 3 times, then you need to carry that extra cash with you. Now, how do you carry the cash? Well, there are money changers at the airport. They don't give you as good a rate as the one by the hotel in Medina and Mecca. There are no money changers in Mina and Arafat and Muzdalifah. You have to have your money. You probably don't even need it over there. So take relatively newer looking but large bills. What do you mean by newer looking? It should not have any writing on it. It should not have any tear on it. Even if it's a small tear, they might refuse it. They say, no, I'm sorry, we're not taking this money. And a large bills because they give you the proper rate. So if I took $100 US and a $50 US, they'll give me the proper rate for $100 US at 3.70 or 3.72. But for the $50, they'll give me less. But money is money. It should be the same rate. That's how they operate. They'll give you less for a lower denomination. So take a larger, newer looking. Doesn't have to be mint condition, but good, fresh condition, not crumpled, not torn, and have no writing or stamps on it. But if I have debit cards or credit cards, I can use credit cards. In major stores, they'll accept it. There are ATMs available, in Movenpick in Medina, and there are other places, ATMs available in Medina and also in Mecca. But do expect some lineup for the ATMs. And also remember, when you're using an ATM, you're probably paying a premium for the exchange rate to get the cash. And you're also paying probably an administrative charge, a fee by the bank, either this bank or your bank or their bank. But the fact is, you can withdraw cash using ATM. Those machines are available. Now, those who are going to Mecca first, important. If my program, as I mentioned, know your program. If my program starts in Mecca, I have to be in the state of Ihram before the plane touches down in Jeddah. And therefore, I must have the Ihram with me. For those people, the Ihrams are being sent as we speak, right? You should receive the Ihrams already. It's being sent to you. And because you have to be in the state of Ihram before you land. And therefore, in your checklist, that Ihram better not be packed in your suitcase that is checked in. It better be with you because you have to change into it, either in the aircraft on Saudi Airlines, if you're taking Saudi Airlines, or in the transit airport before you can take the flight on to Jeddah. So what are the accessories? Well, first of all, the ihram garment itself. If you're not used to it, start practicing it. There are YouTube videos. There's the video that I did last year. Maybe we'll post that in the Hajj network that you can see how to put the ihram on. And for the men, a specific requirement for footwear. There are restrictive footwear for the men, and I will cover that a bit later on as to what the footwear is. Just bear with me. So appropriate footwear. Belt to tie the ihram if you're not used to wearing an ihram without a belt. Many people will use the ihram in such a way they don't need a belt. But if you need a belt, you're not comfortable, you can use a belt. Whether it's a money belt you carry, people don't carry money in their money belt anymore because they put their valuables in the safety deposit box in the hotel room. But if that's why I wrote the words if needed. So get used to how you're going to wear the ihram, how you're going to tie it. As such, practice that if you're going to Mecca first. Those going to Medina first, they're not going to receive the ihram here or in Canada or Australia. They're going to be given the ihram once they arrive in Medina because you don't have to have the ihram on in Medina. You have to land, you can land there with normal clothes. Ihram is required when you're going to Mecca only. So that's why they're being sent the ihram here. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Now, let's talk about footwear for ihram. For women, There are no specific requirement for the type of what footwear that she wears. No restrictions. She can wear sneakers, she can wear running shoes, she can wear with the toes closed, she can wear with the heels closed. Whatever she wants to wear, there is no specific footwear requirement or restrictions for a woman to wear. So pick something that is comfortable and suitable. That's it. That's all you need to know. However, if you want to be bare feet in ihram, because I want to be bare feet going into the haram when I'm doing tawaf, it is preferable that you cover your feet with socks. Why? Because in the Shafi'i madhab, the woman's feet is part of her aura, right? Part of something that should be covered. So it's better for you to cover it than to be bare feet, basically, right? As such. And that's why I would recommend as a footwear for women. Nothing specific, whatever is comfortable with, minimum you can cover it. And somebody will ask me this question, but can I wear my footwear during tawaf and sa'i in the haram? The answer is yes, you can. Islamically, you're allowed to wear footwear. However, make sure that there is no impurity in them. The bottom is clean. There's no impurity. You have not used it to go to the bathroom, for example. Then, but you can wear footwear. Islamically, you're allowed to do that. For the men, there are restrictions. There are specific requirements. At a minimum, the requirement is that the ankle or the heel must be exposed. And therefore, there's a picture of a person wearing Crocs. I don't prefer that. I prefer the second requirement, which is the ankle, heel, and some of the top bone must be exposed. Some of the cuneiform bone, the top bone must be exposed. So I kind of tend to use the bottom two pictures as my footwear, right? I have nice OFOs, that is, sandals with a strap on top. And so I have two pairs. One I take with me to wear normally, and one I wear in during sa'i between Safa and Marwa. So I have those. So again, if you're following the Hanafi madhab, you'll pick any one of the bottom two. If you're following the Shafi'i madhab, you'll say, okay, heel is good enough for me. Right? That's how people look at it. So ankle, heel, and some cuneiform. So you have restrictions. You cannot wear shoes. You cannot wear something that covers your toes and covers your heels. However, those who have some medical reasons for not being able to wear these or stay bare feet, they should consult with the sheikh. You will probably get a rukhsa. You'll probably be allowed to wear uh, based on your medical condition, but you should see a sheikh because he will look at your condition and he will tell you whether you have to give fidya for it or whether you're allowed to wear it. But generally speaking, the requirement is that the heel and some part of the cuneiform bone must be exposed, and therefore you should have that with you in your carry-on if you're going to Mecca first. Or if you're going to Medina first, take that with you to wear from Medina onwards. You definitely will have to wear during the manasik of Hajj when you're in ihram for 2 days, right? 8th, 9th, and the 10th. Personal needs, no need to mention this. Toothpaste and toothbrush is common. Unscented soap. Why do I say unscented soap? Remember, when you're in ihram, you're going to be washing your hands. All of the toiletries in Mecca and Medina in the hotels have perfumes in them. The toiletries in Mina those liquid soap should be perfume free, but I've found sometimes that they're not perfume free. So what you need to do is as a precaution, you take this Dove unscented soap bar, the small one, cut it in half if you need to, buy a soap dish from a dollar store and take it with you. This way you have it with you. So when you are in Mina, if you want to wash your hands with your own soap, you can. You don't have to use the liquid soap. If you're in Muzdalifah, you want to wash your hands, there are no soaps in Muzdalifah. At least you have this with you when you're there. And the same thing in Arafat. So that's what this will be used for, unscented soap, right? That's all. Yeah, otherwise, when you're not in Ihram, you use normal soap in the hotels that's available. Nail clipper, small scissor, hair comb. This is all required for you to do some ihram preparations. Clip your nails and so forth. A bath and hand towels. I've said both bath and hand towels, but the last couple of years I've not taken a bath hand towel. I've just taken a bath towel. It's so hot over there. Even if you get it completely soaked, it just dries up so quickly. So I just take a bath towel to save space in my bag when I'm going to Mina. It's good to have some small packets of Kleenex or somewhere to have some extra tissues to wipe things. And of course, I mentioned light clothing. So what you do is you look at this weathernetwork.com and see the temperatures when you get closer to departure. Right now, I can only give you average, but when you're ready to pack, in May, for example, then you look it up and say, hey, what's the temperature for the next 2 weeks? Then you'll have a better understanding of what to pack, but it's going to be hot. You know that, right? When I'm in Mina, I don't have my suitcase with me. I'll have to take with me my carry-on bag. So that's the normal carry-on bag. A backpack is required. The reason is because when I'm in Mina, I have both backpack and carry-on bag. But when I'm going to Arafat and then staying overnight in Muzdalifah and returning to Mina, I don't need to drag my carry-on bag. I just take a small backpack with me for use over there because I'm coming back the next day. Right? Sunglasses, some people it's pretty bright out there. If you're going to wear sunglasses, please try to get one of those neck straps so that if it falls, it doesn't break for you. If you're one of those that wear prescription glasses and you cannot see without them, take a spare one. Always take a spare one if you're dependent on prescription glasses. And it's a good idea to have a neck strap, right? Lightweight prayer mat. Again, we'll wait and see when you get the instructions from us when we tell you if the service providers are providing prayer mat. Sometimes they provide the prayer mat, but they're not lightweight. So that's something for you to use anywhere, and a small Quran to take it in your carry-on luggage. The health and medical kit. Now, the bottom line is that we're going to have some medical guidance webinars. There's two of them that are scheduled. You're better off to attend them and hear from the physicians. But I'm giving you this as a list, not to go out and shop for one of each, but something to consider. Right? If you're prone to air sickness, maybe you want to take Gravol. I've never taken it, but if you're prone to it, it's one of the things to consider. Some people prefer aspirin, some people prefer Tylenol, some people Advil, whatever is your preferred choice of a headache medicine, for example, you may take some, right? Vaseline is mentioned only specifically for the men because some of the men, their inner thighs rub against each other and it becomes really chaffed and sore. And that is when they're ihram. There's nothing guarding because the thighs are rubbing as they're walking and it really becomes sore for them. So it's okay to use petroleum jelly, for example, and rub it in the state of ihram so that that doesn't cause that soreness, that chafing to occur. That's the reason why I mentioned it to consider. If you're one of those that have that issue, yes. If you're not one of those, then you don't need it. Diarrhea medication, small pack of Imodium will be nice. Face mask and hand sanitizer. Don't just smell the hand sanitizer. Make sure the ingredient says there is no perfume in it. I normally tend to, the habit of washing hands, I cannot overemphasize it. Every time you leave your room, you come back in, you're going to wash your hands thoroughly with soap. Even if you're coming in and say, well, it's time for dinner, it's time for breakfast, don't go straight into the restaurant because the biggest source of disease is your hand touching your face. Your hands out in the common carpet, you're shaking hands with people. So you come back in and you wash your hands thoroughly, or at least you have a hand sanitizer, right? Face mask is because, COVID is not a pandemic, but it's still around. Something that you can wear to protect yourself, especially in close gatherings like in the aircraft. But it's not required for you to have it on. There's no such thing, right? And I mentioned rehydration salt. But what I do recommend though, and I do this with my physician, I'll go to him and I'll say to him, can you give me some antibiotics, like a Z pack? And I'll have my pharmacy fill it up and I'll take it with me. It's not that I'm a doctor. It's just that when I'm not feeling well, I will see a physician over there. We will have, inshallah, physicians traveling with us. And we'll see a physician over there and he will tell you, yeah, you need antibiotics and I'll start my course rather than trying to figure out how to get antibiotic from the pharmacy, right? So I recommend you take a suitable antibiotics from home, at least one course. And please attend the webinar. Number the next item is medication that you normally take. So if I am one of those that actually take my blood pressure medicine on a daily basis, my cholesterol medicine on a daily basis, my thyroid medicine on a daily basis, I need to make sure that I have sufficient quantity that lasts the entire trip. So an example would be what I do is I have a weekly pill box that has a slot for each day, 7 days of the week. I'll put in each slot 2 days worth of medicine and I'll take that with me. If you have something that may be considered narcotic, then I will actually take the whole prescription bottle that has the label and your name and the doctor's name on it, so you know that's been prescribed to you. But the medicine box that I take has my cholesterol medicine, my thyroid medicine, and all so forth, my blood pressure medicine, they're all there in the box, and I carry it with me, never in my check bag, always in my hand carry. I never put it in my check bag. I don't want the check bag to be redirected somewhere, shows up 2 days later. I have to have my meds every day. Seek advice from physician, depending on your medical condition, your diabetes, your asthma, heart condition, blood pressure. Please go out and seek advice. Let them know that you're going for Hajj. Let him know or her know that you are going to be in hot temperature. So get some advice. If you are allergic to specific drugs, write it on a piece of paper and have it with you, or wear a medical alert bracelet. At least inform your Hajj guide. Please do attend your medical guidance webinars that are scheduled later on. Now I'm going to start the process of going through departing for Hajj. Now, departing for Hajj, now I'm starting the process where I am going to go through your trip as you start from here. Be at the airport early. Now, people will say, when I get there, I'm traveling with my wife, and all of a sudden we are not seated together. We cannot do anything about the seats. The airline decides the seats. So what happens when you get there earlier and others have not checked in yet? There's a better chance that if your seats are not together, that they'll be put together. If you're taking a group flight, that group PNR has 50 people on it, and the tickets are issued for the 50 people. There's no way for the airline to know who's related to whom. So they will assign the seats accordingly, right? Unless you can go into the airline's website or call them and pay for your seat selection, then you have your seats. If you're not paying for seat selection, if you're not able to go and make seat selections, and some airlines will not allow that because Hajj flights are full, then get to the airport early so you can get the seats together. Right? Allow time to check in as the flights are expected to be full. And when you do check in, they will give you a boarding card. Make sure you have the boarding cards all the way to Saudi Arabia. What do I mean by that? Let's say I'm going from Washington, D.C. to Jeddah on Saudi Airlines and taking an onward flight to Medina. I'll have two boarding cards, one to Jeddah and one from Jeddah to Medina. I have both. If I'm going from Washington, D.C. on Turkish Airlines to Istanbul and then going to Medina, I'll have two boarding cards. That's what I meant by ensure you have both boarding cards. The second boarding card will not have the gate number on it because that hasn't been scheduled yet, but you'll have the boarding card with your seat assigned. Now, the last part is important. It is for those who are taking a domestic flight within their country to join an international flight, okay? To join an international flight. It's important. I'll give you this as an example. Let's say, for example, live in Columbus, Ohio, and the group flight that I have is from JFK. And so I'm going to take a Delta Airlines from Columbus, Ohio to JFK, and then I'm going to join Turkish Airlines from there onwards via Istanbul onto Medina. That's the example I'm going to use. So when I get to Columbus, Ohio check-in counter, Delta person tells me, sir, I can check your luggage in all the way through to Medina. And you would say, well, that's pretty good. I don't have to handle my luggage. I would not do that because you're relying on Delta to hand over your luggage to Turkish Airlines at JFK. There have been instances where that has not happened, right? Given what is happening in the airports right now in the United States, I know it's just the TSA folks that are being affected, but I would not do that because here's what happens in a case like this where you've given the local domestic carrier luggage to tag all the way through. The tag you're carrying is that of Delta Airlines that says, yep, it's all the way through to Medina. When you get to Medina Airport, your luggage is not found. You file a lost luggage report. And who's looking at the lost luggage report? Turkish Airlines. They look in their system and they say, we don't know where your luggage is. It never boarded the aircraft at JFK. So you know the problem happened in that Delta's handover of your luggage in JFK. Because you came to Saudi Arabia on Turkish Airlines, not Delta Airlines. And they didn't have your luggage from the beginning. So what happens? You end up being without your luggage. If somebody by chance at JFK runs into your luggage and says, hey, wait a minute, this should have been on it, and then gives it over to Turkish Airlines, but you're relying on that person finding it. It's not traceable from Turkish Airlines because they never received it at JFK. To avoid all of this, what you do is when you get to the check-in counter with Delta Airline, in this example in Columbus, Ohio, you tell them, I need this luggage only to JFK. So you check in your luggage to JFK only. Yes, you may have to pay a little bit more. And then you collect it and claim it at JFK. And when you walk over to Turkish Airlines counter, you give it to them, and now you have their luggage tag. You have handed over the luggage yourself to them, and they're responsible for ensuring that your luggage is delivered to your destination in Medina. Okay, so this is what I would do. Now, if you're in a Makkah First program, if you're in a Makkah First program, remember you have to be in the state of Ihram from before you land in Jeddah. So what you do is you prepare physically for Ihram from home, and that means trimming your nails, all those recommended things, removing your unwanted hair, and making ghusl, and you put on your normal clothes, and you're carrying your Ihram and accessories. This is for the men. You're carrying Ihram and accessories, and you carry on back to change at a transit airport or in Saudi Airlines itself, if it's a single flight. Women, when they get on their clothes at home, that's the same clothes they're going to enter into Ihram when they're departing for Hajj. Okay, it applies to Makkah First program. Now, when you're in transit, once you're in transit, for example, first thing you do is you locate the gate for your next flight because it won't be on your boarding card that you picked up. And so you confirm your flight departure timing. Flight will be full, I guarantee you that. Every flight going into Jeddah and Medina will be full. But you ensure that you arrive for boarding 60 minutes or more prior to flight departure. Those who are in North America are used to the fact that I can get there 10 minutes before I'll still board my flight. That's not how it works in Europe or in the Middle East. Sometimes they will print it on your boarding card that the boarding gate closes 20 minutes before departure. So you might get there 10 minutes before, you might see the plane still there, but they will tell you, sorry, the boarding is closed. So don't do that. Just show up 60 minutes or so before departure to ensure you board that flight, right? Now, if you're in the Makkah First program, you're carrying your ihram with you in your hand carry. This is where you change into the ihram garments, right? You change into the ihram garment, put away your pants and shirts, put the right footwear, and board the aircraft in the ihram garment. You have not made the intention yet. The women, whatever clothes they had from home, that's how they're boarding in. They're boarding the aircraft to Jeddah. When you're in flight to Jeddah, they will announce that the miqat will be approaching in 20 minutes. And as soon as they announce it, you make the intention prior to approaching the miqat. You make the intention in the aircraft before. A lot of people will say to you, but Jeddah is also a miqat. That is true. But Jeddah is not a miqat for those who are coming from Europe or from North America because you would have already crossed the first miqat over the Red Sea. Jeddah is a miqat for those who are coming from Africa, South Africa. Their first miqat that they touch would be Jeddah, but not for those who are coming from from North America, from Istanbul, from United States, from Canada. Their miqat already would be crossed in the air, and therefore you must be in the state of ihram before you cross the miqat. Otherwise, it's a violation of ihram. That's why you must have your ihram garment on, and you make the intention as soon as they announce in the aircraft the miqat is approaching. Simple as that. In Saudi Airlines, it's a single flight. They don't have in transit. They're going straight from Washington, D.C. or JFK into Jeddah. In the back of the aircraft, there's a prayer area. You'll find 2 hours or so before the last service is provided, meal service is provided. The lights are still out. Men are going to go there and then change into their garment and come back to their seat. Right? So that's where you do change in the aircraft. That's only in Saudi Airlines. The rest, you do it in transit airport. Arrival in Jeddah. Once you arrive in Jeddah, as soon as you get off the plane, they might stop you and ask you for proof of vaccination. That's where you show it. Then you walk through immigration and customs, hand in your passport, they'll scan it. Remember that they do take pictures, they do take fingerprints. It's their norm, so just cooperate with them. And then you'll go through your luggage claim. Make sure you pick your own luggage. They all look alike, so your luggage should have some personal ID on it. Remember, so many people are traveling. You think it's your bag, but do check it. Just don't go by what it looks like. If you can't find your luggage, you must report it before you leave that area. It's a secure area. We cannot enter that area. File a lost luggage report before you leave if you can't find it. And then once you exit the secure area through customs, that's when you'll find the Hajj service provider reps waiting for you. Right? So you make sure your valuables are always with you. If the passport is with you, great. Your credit cards, debit cards, cash with you, and then you go out and make sure that Hajj service provider reps will then take you and direct you where to go next. If you're carrying a green card or PR card, nobody should ask for it. Don't hand it over to them when you hand your passport. Always keep it with you secure. You only need it for the return trip. Now, if you happen to be going to Mecca, you'll already be in Ihram. The service provider reps will make arrangements for your bus. They don't provide the bus. The authorities control transportation. They don't want half a bus to leave. There's just too many pieces of transportation during Hajj. Some say it's about 100,000. So they want to make sure that the buses are going in full. And so this is provided by a third party service provider. And you'll be told which bus to go to. You'll basically take your luggage and make sure it's loaded into the bus and you get on the bus. Now, departure to Mecca is normally by destination hotel. The reason I'm mentioning this because I don't want anyone to get frustrated. The distance from Jeddah to Mecca is only 72 kilometers or 45 miles. And you might think that I've traveled for so many hours, I'm now very close. But it does take an average about 5 hours to reach the hotel after the plane touches down at Jeddah airport because of all the process that you go through and the crowd. Right? Depends on how many people are there. So be patient. If you're one of those that arrived in Jeddah, but your program starts in Medina, same thing. You'll go through customs and come out, and service provider reps will meet with you, and they would have made arrangements for you to either go by bus or by Haramain high-speed train, depending on what's available when you arrive in Jeddah. If your flight arrives at 1 o'clock in the morning, there is no train available till 5 or 6, they probably will actually send you by bus. It all depends. Or if the train is available, but there are no seats available, so they will make the arrangements. So either way, you're going to go to Medina and the arrangement will be made by the service provider reps. Once you arrive in Medina, if you're one of those that didn't come through Jeddah, you're arriving directly into Medina, the same routine. Once you get off the plane, you may have to show proof of vaccination. You have to go through immigration and customs. Then you go collect your luggage in case you have your lost luggage. You have to report that, and you exit customs hall to meet the service provider reps and keep your valuables with you, and they will then put you in the bus, which is provided by a third party, and the bus will take you to your destination hotel. Most of the hotel from Medina airport to the Medina hotel, most of them are within about half an hour distance, and you're going to get to that hotel at that time. So carry your luggage outside or as they direct you, and then it gets appropriately loaded in the bus, and you get on the bus and you get to your hotel in Medina. While you're in Medina, for all the programs that we're looking after in terms of Sira, in terms of Yusr al-Mashayir, and in terms of Ikram al-Daif, these are the hotels and where they're located. So if you know your program, you can see where the hotels are located. You don't have to take any transportation to get to Masjid al-Nabawi. You just have to walk there. Depends on which hotel you're in. And all the gates around Masjid al-Nabawi has large numbers on them. For example, if you're in Movenpick, right, the gate that you will enter the courtyard of Masjid al-Nabawi is gate number 328. If you're in Hilton, for example, so similarly, once you get familiar with the gate to enter, this is exactly where you have to go to get back to your hotel. Now, this part I'm mentioning it because people don't think of it, especially those who are going for the first time. It's important that you understand that. The room configuration, if I walk into any room in Mecca and Medina, any room, how many beds will I find? Any room in North America, any room in Canada, any room in Europe, how many beds am I likely to find? 2, maximum 2. But if I'm a family of 3 or 4 and I ask the hotel staff to bring in extra bed, they will bring in extra bed. They'll be temporary beds. So that's exactly how it works over there. When people are in triple occupancy or quad occupancy, it means 2 regular beds and 2 temporary beds. And one might say, hey, wait a minute, how come I get a temporary bed and I paid the same amount as the other guy who gets a regular bed? We don't assign people to beds, we assign people to room. We'll assign 4 people to a room if they're quad occupancy. And it's the occupant of the room that decide who gets which bed. So be considerate of each other when you're in the room. Isn't that what Hajj is all about? We're all there together. Hajj is mandatory for the Ummah at the same time. We all travel from everywhere at the same time. There's a reason behind that. That is to actually be able to show that brotherhood and sisterhood that is not displayed anywhere else in the world except when you see them at Hajj as such. So we don't assign people to beds, we assign people to rooms, and you'll have two beds and two temporary beds. Check-in time in the hotel generally is 5 o'clock. Even 5 o'clock sometimes is not sufficient as such. So it varies at Hajj time. So if you arrived at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you would say, I travel for 20 some hours, I'm tired, can I have my room? And you're told, please wait, because that's what happens. And if you arrive at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 11 o'clock in the morning, chances are you'll have to wait for your room until it's ready. Our staff will be working with the hotel as they do 7 by 24, 365 days. They will be working with the hotel from that morning with a list of people that are arriving to make sure they get the room allotment done, and then chasing the housekeeping to get the room clean. So make sure we will do our best to accommodate you, find a temporary place for you to sit and leave your belongings, go to the haram until your room is ready. But I just want you to know that the check-in time is 5 p.m. onwards, and if you come in early, you may have to wait and be patient, even though you have traveled for such a long time. Get familiar with the direction to Masjid al-Nabawi. Make note of the gate number that I already mentioned. The hotel will provide you open buffet breakfast and dinner. Timing will be posted. The restaurant will be posted. Your lectures will be scheduled in the hotel. And please ensure the instructions for ziyarah. There will be at least a bus tour going to different parts of Medina, Masjid Quba, the mountain of Uhud, and so forth. Follow the instructions so you can be part of the ziyarah. And all the administrative guidance will be provided by your Hajj guide with respect to the next move, which is luggage movement, move to Mecca, etc. Remember, all of this communication to you will be through your WhatsApp group. It will not be calling you up, it's not be knocking at your room. It'll be just the WhatsApp group. So assumption here is that everybody's on the group and everybody's reading the instruction. If you're going to go to Mecca after you've arrived in Medina, this is the Medina First program, we will pick up your checked luggage much earlier. If you're leaving tomorrow, the checked luggage will be picked up today, a day before, evening before, because it has to be transferred to Mecca by road, and the trucks are not allowed during the daytime. It has to be transferred overnight. So we'll pick up your luggage early evening, load it up, and send it to Mecca so that it gets there overnight. And next day, when you go there, your luggage should be there. We will give you specific instructions on how to actually prepare your luggage. And here's your job: prepare the luggage accordingly, but make sure it is placed outside your room on time. If we say your luggage should be outside your room door by 6 p.m., it means 6 p.m. or earlier, but not later. It cannot be 6:05, it cannot be 6:10, it cannot be 6:30, because they make the rounds and they don't see any luggage, they leave, and your luggage sits there, and you're now responsible for carrying your own luggage. So do your part, and we'll do our part. And when you do send that luggage out for us to transfer it from Medina to Mecca, don't place your hand carry there, because that stays with you. You're going to take your hand carry because it still has, you still have to be in ihram, you still have your medicine, you still have your valuables. So your hand carry stays with you, just the check luggage that goes out. Now, if you happen to be depart by train, high-speed train from Medina to Mecca, you do your ihram prep in your hotel room. The trimming nails, removing the wear, unwanted hair, making ghusl. If you are in a quad occupancy, time it. And you make sure that if we're telling you to come downstairs by 1:30 p.m. to go on the train, not everybody can get ready in 2 hours. So make sure you actually, after breakfast, you take your time, using the bathroom, and make sure that you do all of that stuff and get ready. And you will wear your ihram garment in your hotel room. You will not make the intention, but you will wear the garment in the hotel room. And then you'll be downstairs with your valuables and hand carry that you're responsible for, and to take it with you on the bus to the train station. Okay? Where do I make the intention? Well, the train doesn't stop at the miqat. The train is going about 175 kilometers an hour within 5 minutes of leaving the station when they announce the miqat is approaching, or we're going through the miqat. So the miqat is so close, it's just outside the city of Medina, that if you're sitting in the train and you're hoping they'll be announcing it, you might miss the announcement, you might have dozed off. So what we do is we basically say, you know what, get on the bus, we'll distribute the train tickets to you, and we'll make the intention collectively in the bus before we get off at the train station. This way, everybody has made the intention, right? Because the train departs within 5 minutes, you cross the miqat. Or you sit on the train before it moves, you make the intention. So it'll be done after you have left the place of residence. You have to be in travel, in transit to make the intention, and that's when we actually make the intention. The train is efficient. It takes 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes between Medina station and Mecca station. When you arrive on the other side, you're transferred by bus from Mecca station to your destination in Mecca. Remember, you are responsible for your hand carry luggage in the bus to the train station in Medina, and from the train station in Medina, Mecca, to your destination. You are responsible for your hand carry luggage. If you're departing by bus, it's the same thing. You will prepare for ihram in your hotel room. You'll wear the garment in the hotel room, and you'll be there on time to board the bus. And you will be carrying with you your hand carry luggage, and you take with you in the bus with you. When you actually do leave the intention for Umrah, because you're going by bus, this is the essentials program. For example, in Sirah, the bus will actually stop at the miqat, which is just outside the city of Medina, and you make the intention there, get back on the bus, and it will go along the way. And there are stops, there are checkpoints. It takes about 6 hours or more for you to actually reach your destination in Mecca. But again, you're responsible for your hand carry all the way through. So if you arrive in Mecca, these are all the hotels. I want you to take some time to take a look at it. These are all the hotels that you have in Mecca. So the hotels for Sirah, for Akram al Daif and Yusr al Mashayir, you can see these are the hotels we're using. The Clock Tower complex has the Swiss Hotel, the Fairmont Hotel, the Pullman Zamzam Hotel, the Swiss Maqam Hotel, and then there is the Anjum by itself at the edge of the courtyard. And then you have two hotels called M Hotel Al Dana, which is 9 kilometers away. It's more closer to Mina than to Mecca. It's in Aziziyah, it's a suburb of Mecca, and Holiday Inn. Okay, so hotels are very close. So here's where the Hotel Al Dana is and Holiday Inn is, right? And this is the camp of Mina. I'm showing you an aerial view of it. Same thing that I mentioned about Medina, same thing. The rooms, 2 beds, and if it's a triple or quad occupancy, the other 2 beds are put in it. Sometimes it becomes very tight for luggage. And of course, the same thing for check-in time that I went through. Be familiar with the direction of the Haram. It will be more crowded than it will be in Medina. So once you go there and you perform your Umrah, you rest, you pace yourself. If you want to go to the Haram, allow extra time. You cannot just say, I want to go for Maghrib and it's half an hour to Maghrib. Chances are you won't be able to enter the Haram. Haram would be full, an hour and a half before Maghrib. And it will remain full because people who go for Maghrib don't leave till after Isha, because the time difference between the end of Maghrib Salah and beginning of Isha Salah is an hour and 10 minutes. So they stay there, right? So Haram is different in Mecca than it is in Medina. And so allow extra time to go for prayers, open for breakfast, and dinner will be provided in the hotel, and your admin guidance will be provided by your Hajj guide, right? Communication will be through WhatsApp group. Remember, your objective is what? Hajj, right? So you're saying, I'm here, I'm going to go to the Haram every single time, I'm going to pray Tahajjud, I'm going to go join Salah every time. Listen to your body, pace yourself. I cannot explain that enough. Pace yourself. Your objective is Hajj. And I will give you one example, and I want you to listen to this very carefully, right? I want you to go to the Haram as often as you can, as such, but depends on how you feel. If you're an elderly person, then think about whether you want to actually go to the Haram every single time, or maybe you will go and pray in the Musalla of the hotel, which prays with the Haram, right? To make sure that you pace yourself. Now, those who are in the non-shifting program. So what is non-shifting and shifting? Again, you should know this by now because you've already purchased the package. Basically, non-shifting program is that when you leave for the manasik of Hajj, when you leave for Mina, you still keep your hotel room. That's non-shifting. The shifting are those who are in the hotel in front of the Haram, for example, but before the manasik begins, they move, they check out and check into another hotel in Aziziyah, either M Hotel Al Dana or the Holiday Inn. They will check into one of those two hotels depending on the program, and they would have left the hotel in Mecca. That's the shifting, because they shifted. Non-shifting is they retain the hotel room. So if you're going to be preparing for manasik of Hajj and you are in non-shifting, you keep your hotel room, you'll pack your belongings for stay in Mina, Arafat, Muzdalifah in your hand carry luggage, and your checked luggage remains in the room. Okay? Your valuables remains in the room in the safety deposit box. Use that safety deposit box wisely. If you're 4 people to a room, share the box. Right? Your passport should not be with you, should be in the safety deposit box. For those who are shifting, you'll be checking out of Mecca hotel before the manasik. Again, you're going to be going most likely on the 7th of Zulhijjah. Hajj begins when? On the 8th, the next morning. So you're not going to go there and pack again for Mina and Arafat. You'll pack in your hotel in Mecca. Right? It will give you instructions. And then your checked luggage will be picked up, and you will not see the checked luggage until after the manasik of Hajj. You will not see the checked luggage in Aziziyah. It'll be after the manasik of Hajj. So prepare your luggage accordingly and ensure your checked luggage is put out on time, and keep your hand carry and stuff that you need for the manasik with you, because the checked luggage is going to be stored during the manasik and will be available afterwards, right? We'll give you more instructions later on. What do you take to Mina? Let's go through this. So I have my roll-on hand carry bag. I'm going to go there in Ihram. Okay, I'm going to be in Ihram on the 8th. I'm going to be in Ihram on the 9th. In Arafat, I'm going to be Ihram overnight. I'm going to come back on the 10th. And that's when I take a shower and I kind of cut my hair and get out of Ihram. So I will need one change of clothes on the 10th. Maybe I'll need another change of clothes on the 11th. Maybe I won't need one on the 12th, because I'm going to be returning back to my hotel on the 12th. So at least 2, maybe 3 change of clothes. A bath towel, not a large size bath towel, not a heavy one, just enough to dry your body. The towel will dry within minutes because it's hot. Toiletries that I need, comb, whatever I need, any other essential items, I'll take those things with me. In my backpack, I'll have my prayer mat, I have my Quran, my dua book, medicine, snacks, water bottle, power bank. So that's what I think of when I'm packing for Mina and Arafat, right? For those who are staying in Azizia, whether you're staying in Azizia because you're coming in straight from Jeddah airport, there's a program that comes in and they do not have the hotel in front of the haram. They go straight into Azizia. It's an economy program. Or there are those who are in Medina and they're coming straight into Azizia. And there are those who are in Mecca hotel in front of the haram and they're shifting into Azizia, right? So we're going to go through that. If you're coming from the Jeddah airport, you'll already be in the state of Ihram from the aircraft, and you'll come into Azizia Hotel. You will check in. Men and women will be in separate floors. Everybody in Azizia is in quad occupancy. Everybody is in quad occupancy. And then time will be set by your Hajj guide for when to go to the Haram. But you don't have a hotel there. So we will tell you exactly which hotel is designated as a drop off and pick up place. The bus will take you there. You get off the hotel, then you go and perform your Umrah. You come back to the same hotel, and you will return back to your place in Azizia. Please rest after Umrah. I know what people will say. Well, brother, I need to go I need a shuttle service to go to the Haram for every Salah. I'm in Azizia. I need to go there. I need to accumulate those deeds 100,000 times. Brothers and sisters, I really mean it when I say pace yourself. I'll give you an example, and there is no better example than this. The Prophet ﷺ performed one and only one Hajj. He left Medina on the 24th of Dhul-Qa'dah. He rode on his camel and he walked. 9 days later, he arrived in Mecca on the 4th of Zulhijjah. Think about it. You can arrive by train in 2.5 hours or by bus in 6 hours. He rode and walked for 9 days. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Right? And he arrived in Mecca on the 4th of Zulhijjah. He went and performed his Umrah, and he stayed in Mecca for 4 more days. Because Hajj begins on the 8th of Zulhijjah. So he arrives on the 4th. And he stayed in Mecca for 4 more days before he moved on to Mina. How many times while he was in Mecca, in Ihram, did he go to the Haram to pray? How many times he went to the Haram to pray? Answer is 0. He prayed where he stayed. He prayed where he stayed. The objective is Hajj. That absolves you of all sins. So pace yourself. Know yourself and pace yourself. If you're in Azizia, there'll be prayers held there. There'll be masjid nearby. Use that. You're still within the haram boundary. Okay. If you're coming in from Medina in the state of Ihram, what we did last year, we didn't take them to Azizia straight, to their hotel in Azizia. We brought them over to this designated Mecca hotel for drop off and pickup. They left their hand carry. They went into the haram with their guide and did their umrah, and they came back to this designated hotel in Mecca, and then the bus took them to Azizia. Okay? That might be the case this year. It might be different this year. We'll see what the transportation logistics looks like at that time. Again, check into your room. Congregational prayers will be held in Azizia building. Lectures on Hajj and related topics will be held there. There'll be open buffet breakfast and dinner. But again, main thing when you're there, if you're arriving on the 4th of Dhul Hijjah, if you're arriving just like the Prophet ﷺ arrived on the 4th of Dhul Hijjah, rest as much as you possibly can, because the manasik of Hajj is very, very stressful on you physically. It is really stressful. It's very tiring. It taxes you. We'll give you the admin guidance for it as much as possible. Okay. Preparing for the manasik of Hajj, I'm about to leave Azizia and I'm going to take my hand carry luggage, my belongings. If I'm showing up on the 7th of Dhul Hijjah, it already should have been packed. All right, we'll tell you when we'll depart to Mina, and we'll tell you that, okay, brother, I have my hotel in Azizia and I'm in Mina. Can I access it on a regular basis? I can't answer that question. It is based on available transportation and traffic condition. We will know this closer to Manasik. I know you have the room there. Some people will say, what if I wanted to walk there? Well, M Hotel Al Dana seems walkable, right? But not from AlMuaisim. AlMuaisim is far. AlMuaisim to Jamarat itself is an hour. Right? So you don't want to do that unless you know where you're going and how you're going to get there, especially when you're walking outside in 42 degrees Celsius. Just be careful, right? So you're going to pack yourself as if you're going to stay in Mina those days, right? As such. As to whether or not something is available to take you to your Azizia, we'll let you know closer to that time. And again, I've gone through this as to what to pack, but you're going to pack as if you're going to stay in Mina during the days of Hajj, regardless of whether you are in non-shifting or shifting. Okay, I'll go through that in a moment. So here's an example. You can see here in this map of Mina, I think you're seeing it for the first time. So I'm going to actually let it on for a little while. Right? You can see where the Jamarat is, right? Top left side. You can see where the Majr al-Kabsh camp is, and you can see where AlMuaisim is. This is the valley of Mina that holds 2 million people plus during the days of Hajj. Just imagine that for a moment. Okay. So tent space in Mina is allocated for each person. There are no extras. The bedding will be provided. It'll be a foam sleeper chair, pillow, chair cover, and blanket. Each person will be in designated tent by bedding. We'll try to put the groups together. Men and women will be in separate tents. Not only are they in separate tents in AlMuaisim, they're in separate tents by service provider. Sometimes you can't even go from one service provider's tent to the second one. So the men and women will definitely be separated. The men cannot just go into the women's section and say, I want to speak to my wife. They have to make some arrangements for her to come out and meet them in a common area, for example. So they'll be in separate tents. Remember that regardless of how much the air conditioning inside is working, you're going to feel the heat during the day as such, because the top part of the canopy of the tent is always open, right? It's always open. The bathrooms are North American style toilets, ceramic tiles on the floor, handheld shower there. The meals, their catering station set up, separate from men and women. There's variety in meals, and they always make sure that you have hot and cold drinks available to you. There are stations for that to make sure you remain hydrated. Our objective is to make sure you remain hydrated all the time. This is your place. You're going to live there. You're going to stay there, right? So keep it clean. Dispose of garbage outside in provided bins. When it times for prayers, fold up the foam sleeper chair. There is space because you're going to be praying inside. There is no outside area for prayers, right? Outside is simply areas barely for you to walk between the tents. There's no open area for you to have salah and jama'ah per se. So you're going to be praying inside, fold it up during the time. And there are dedicated bathrooms for men separately for women, as usual. But do use the bathroom properly. Make sure that it is as clean as you got it, or even cleaner for the next person. Don't stick stuff inside that will jam the toilet, right? Remember, the next person is going to use it. Men, I've seen men go in and cannot wait for the barbers to be available. They go in with the razor blade sitting on top of the sink and shaving their head, and the hair clogs the sink. Isn't that, where's the consideration for the other person? Is this your Hajj or is it our Hajj? Do you think it's just your Hajj or my Hajj, or is it our Hajj? Isn't everybody asked to come at the same time? What is that consideration for the other person? When you take a shower in that stall and you don't want that ihram anymore, you throw it on the floor, it's soggy, wet. Why can't you just take it up and dispose it in the garbage bin outside? Right? So consider for the other person. This is part of brotherhood and sisterhood. I want you to understand this. We are in it together. When you are going in the haram and praying salah and the iqamah is called, what do? You fill in the gap. You don't, probably can't even speak to the person next to you. He came from a different culture and different country, speaks a different language. But it doesn't matter because you're in it together. Everybody wants the same thing. You bow before Allah together in the unity that you're showing in worshiping Him. You make sujood together. You plead to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together. So the same thing applies when you're not in salah. They are your brothers. They are your sisters. Be considerate of each other. So again, as you use the facilities there, be considerate of each other. And please get plenty of rest. You will need it. Especially on the 8th of Zulhijjah, before Arafat. What's coming up is rough. Physically rough. And I'm not exaggerating it. You need rest. And stay away from idle talk and engage in dhikr. What I tell people to do is they actually start reading the Quran from the day they leave their home with the objective of finishing the Quran during the trip. So whenever you have time, instead of engaging in idle talk, pick up the Mus'haf and continue where you left off. Right? Again, the company you keep is important. How do we get to Arafat the next day? Well, air-conditioned buses, yes, but they're not a dedicated bus. They are rotational buses that will shuttle people between Mina, Arafat, and Muzdalifah. So when your turn comes, you'll be asked to board the bus. So a schedule is developed among the Hajj service providers, and the pilgrim will go to the bus boarding area so that not everybody crowds the entrance based on that schedule, and then it will shuttle you from there to Arafat, right? You'll have to wait for your turn for transfer to Arafat by bus. And this is an example of that boarding area. So in order for people to crowd in front and go out in the street and stand and 200 people running after one bus, to avoid that, we'll just bring in enough people here that'll fit in the bus. And when the bus comes, the front door opens, they all go in and they board, because you have to be calm, you have to be, serene, because you are in ihram. How do we depart? Well, your Hajj guide will advise you of departure time. Will be according to groups. We'll keep the groups together. But be ready in your tents and do not go to the front gate until you're advised, not before that. And you only take the essentials to Arafat. That roll-on bag with your change of clothes, you're not going to need the change of clothes, right? You're going to go in ihram, come back in ihram. You're not going to need all the toiletries. You're not going to trim anything over there. So basically, hand carry luggage stays, and you're taking just that backpack with your Quran and your prayer mat, your medicine, your power bank, some energy bars. That's all. Very light. You travel very light to go to Arafat. Now, if you're planning to stay the entire night in Arafat, in Muzdalifah, on the way back, don't take the bedding from Mina, the pillow and the blanket. The service provider is supposed to provide you with sleeping bag or mat. But the last point that I'm making here is important. Because you're going to take a shuttle bus from Arafat back to Muzdalifah, it has happened that when the last group came in, well, there was no sleeping bags available, right? So you better off consider taking a 2-pound sleep, 2-pound weight, filling weight sleeping bag with you from home. Take it with you, and take it with you to Mina, and take it with you from Mina to Arafat, right? And this way, in case the service provider doesn't provide you with a sleeping bag, you're not going to have a rough night in Muzdalifah because there is nothing for you to sit or sleep. So, this is a precautionary thing that I'm mentioning. They are supposed to provide you. You are going to take a shuttle bus from Arafat to Muzdalifah. But it has happened that the last few groups came in, there was none available. So, this is just to avoid that. Arafat has large tents to accommodate. Men or women are going to be separate. They have industrial units, but remember, it's still going to be hot because the door or the front of the tent is always open. So if the outside temperature is 42, the inside temperature will still be 35, right? So remember that. There'll be indoor carpeting for prayers. Outdoor carpeting is there for certain areas. North American style toilets. Maybe you'll get a boxed lunch. Again, this is where you remain hydrated. Make sure you are hydrated. Make sure you use your electrolytes. Make sure you eat less and drink more and use energy bars. Now, this is the day you came here. This is the day that you've paid so much money to get there. This is the day you went through all of the effort to go there because this is the main and entire reason. Hajj is Arafah. This is the day where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends and forgives all those who are in Arafah. What you need to do is if you arrive in the morning, let's say you arrive at 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, get some rest. Just go to sleep. Get up at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:30 in the morning, and go and make wudu and get ready for congregational prayers for Dhuhr and Asr. It'll be held there. There'll also be a khutbah of Arafat, and then comes the time for individual supplication. And later on in the afternoon, much late in the afternoon, there'll be group supplications. So then you stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and plead your case to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the reason why you're there. So you need to be alert for this. You don't need to be tired for this. That's why you had to rest in Aziziyah. That's why you had to rest in Mina because of this day. You want to not be sleeping during the afternoon. You want to be active and alert and present to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as you stand before Him that day. You know the reward for Hajj, as according to the hadith, one of two things. You return home as the day your mother gave birth to you, completely sinless. The volumes of sins are gone. Or those who perform Hajj, which is Hajj Mabrur, Hajj that is accepted, the reward is no less than Jannah. Your name is inscribed as among the inhabitants of Jannah. What are you prepared to do to achieve those things? Forgiveness and having the name inscribed as inhabitants of Jannah. Think in those terms. Think in those terms. Whether you think of yourself, think of your fellow person next to you as well. They're there for the same purpose. So rest as much as you can in the morning. Rest the day before. Rest in Aziziyah so you're ready for this day. And then pour your heart out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the afternoon, making wuquf either inside the camp. It's okay to do it inside. You want to go outdoors, if I find some tree, find some shade, but don't spend the entire time in the sun if you're not used to it. Inside is fine. But don't leave the camp area. Don't leave that whole gated area. People say, I want to go to the Jabal. Why? The Prophet ﷺ says the whole of Arafat is a place of standing. You want to go to the Jabal, you don't know where you are, and you're lost, you're in heat, and you come back, you're exhausted. I've had people go to the Jabal in the morning. By the time they came in the afternoon, they were snoring in the afternoon. Right? You don't need that. So just spend the time. You are in Arafat. The whole place is Arafat. The whole place is there for standing. Don't go outside. It's one of the worst places to get lost. Right? We will depart for Muzdalifah after Maghrib on shuttle buses within the time given to you. There could be considerable wait time. You can say, oh, Maghrib is coming. Maghrib is gone. It's almost Isha time. Yes, there are people who are taking the turn. Shuttle buses are going and coming back and picking up others. And so you'll have to wait your turn. And then when you get to Muzdalifah, you might say, okay, where do I sleep? Okay, where's my sleeping bag? And this is why I ask you to consider taking a 2-pound lightweight sleeping bag with you. Don't take a heavy one. 2-pound lightweight is fine. No more than that. So you can have some rest in Muzdalifah. And Hajj guide will advise you about the departure from Arafat to Muzdalifah. You stay with your group. Stick together. Now, last part is important. Stay hydrated in hot weather. It's important for you to actually drink and replace your electrolytes as much as you can. Separate areas provided by Hajj service providers for the pilgrims. Area will be carpeted. Once you get there, make wudu and pray Maghrib and Isha. That's combined and shortened. And then boxed meal and drinks are provided. Some people don't even eat. That's fine. And you have energy bars. You have something with you. You have snacks with you. That's great. use the sleeping bag mat for sleeping. Now, this is the part that I want to be upfront with you and just open with you. When you arrive there and when you occupy the place to sleep, some people will occupy more than they actually need, and that is wrong, because the last group that arrives, they're looking for a place to sleep, and the way that we occupy the space is completely waste of space, and they don't have any place to sleep. They're standing there. We're not considerate of each other, right? Consider that you are the first one to arrive, but consider this place will occupy everybody. You just need small space for you to sleep. You don't need to actually go out and spread your sleeping bag across the whole thing like a double bed. So be considerate in how much space that you use, because that space is premium. There are washrooms available in the private area. I would never advise anyone to go to the washroom by themselves, because sometimes you go there and you look back and you say, wait a minute, where did I come from? It is considered to be the worst place to get lost. So always go as a twosome and a threesome. So you wait for each other and you come back together. Now, what will tend to happen is you're going to end up staying the whole night. And you're going to offer Fajr prayer in congregation, and you're going to depart for Mina after Fajr prayer. For those who want to depart after half the night, which is a rukhsah given by the Prophet ﷺ, that he allowed women and the children and the elderly and the sick and the weak to depart after spending half the night in Muzdalifah, it's too early for us to say that that's going to happen. So I want you to prepare as if you're going to spend the whole night until Fajr, and then you're going to depart after Fajr to go to Mina. But should there be transportation available that takes some people who want to go after half the night, your Hajj guide will advise you of that at that time over in Muzdalifah, and then you can depart earlier and get to Mina earlier. But for now, just consider that you're planning it based on staying the entire night until Fajr prayers, which is what is required. The exception is given by the Prophet ﷺ to the women and the children and the elderly, etc. When you're back in Mina, then you have to at least go to Rami Jamarat. You have to do that on the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th. It can be crowded at times. Wait for your instruction from the Hajj guide. Never, ever go by yourself. Never. Go as a group, go as together. Don't go by yourself. It is quite far. The walk is about 60 to 75 minutes, depending on the crowd each way. And so you take some water with you, and you take an umbrella with you. And here is an example of how you get there. Right? You can see where AlMuaisim is as an example. You can see that you're going to go walk outside, then you're going to enter the tunnel through the mountains, and you're going to come near the Jamarat. Right? The tunnel is not air conditioned. It's going to be hot. So here's the entrance that's coming through the mountains. The tunnel comes out. On this side, where you see the orange part here, these are the entrance. The arrowhead that you see is the tunnel coming out. The other one is going in. And you're going to come out from here. You're going to walk through and throw the Jamarat. This is the first one is the small shaitan. The middle one is the second small shaitan. And the third one is the Jamratul Kubra, the last one. And then you make a right turn and you continue onwards and you take the tunnel back. So imagine if one way is 60 to 75 minutes to go to the Jamarat. If there is an elderly person or a sick person, you're allowed to have somebody else designate somebody else to throw the stones on your behalf. But that's how it's going to be, and your group leader will provide you instructions as you stay there. For Tawaf al-Ifada, for those who are in shifting programs, the buses will be scheduled by the authorities. It's not up to the service provider. They actually manage transportation in Mina, in that part of Mina. And they will let us know the tentative schedule. It'll be by group number and program. Your Hajj guide will advise you as to the timing and drop off. Remember, you don't have a hotel in Mecca. It's a shifting program. So you've already shifted out of the hotel. So it's going to tell you which hotel the bus will take you in. You go make Tawaf al-Ifada, you come back, and the bus will bring you back to Mina. For non-shifting program, they might say, look, I have my hotel in Mecca. Can I go to the hotel in Mecca? Again, shuttling between the haram and camp is subject to availability of buses. These are not the buses controlled by the Hajj service provider. These are the buses controlled by the authorities. And what they did last year is that when they provided the bus, they said, I'm not taking you to the hotel. I'm going to drop you by the haram. So if you stayed in Anjum Hotel, the bus dropped you by the haram, you had to walk all over to the Anjum Hotel. And you have to figure out how to get back to where the bus is going to bring you back to Mina. It's not to the hotel. So again, it depends on what they're going to do because it's subject to availability and they control it. Okay? A tentative bus schedule planned will be planned for Tawaf al-Ifada and we'll take you to the Haram, perform it. You want to go to your hotel in the meantime and then come back out. It'll be decided at that time. At the end of Hajj, we have people who are in shifting program will go back to Azizia after their last Rami Jamarat on the 12th. And they have two choices. They're done with their Hajj and they're now departing for the return flight home. Or there is a program that actually never stayed in their hotel in Mecca and they're going to their hotel in Mecca. So I'm going to go through them. So if you're departing after Hajj to Jeddah airport, we will let you know when to perform Tawaf al-Wada based on your travel time, which is your flight time. And then you'll depart from Azizia to Jeddah airport for your return flight, and your Hajj guide will advise you of the timing for both. If you are going from Azizia to Mecca hotel, you will stay in Azizia until the 14th of Dhul Hijjah. That's when the occupancy begins in your Mecca hotel. As to when on the 14th of Dhul Hijjah you depart from Mecca depends on what's happening in Mecca, because that's the day when the entire hotel empties in Mecca, all of the hotels. The massive checkout and check-in. So most likely in the afternoon, but our objective is to get you there so you can pray Maghrib and Isha in the Haram and have dinner in the hotel. But expect delay in checking in Mecca hotel. Even though you came in, they might say, go pray Maghrib and come back, go eat dinner and come back. Because of the massive amount of people checking out and checking in, not everybody checks out like it says in the hotel checkout time is 1 p.m. Nobody's going to come and knock at your door and say, have you checked out yet? Right? Because they're just checking out. It's a massive amount, the entire thing. So you might have some delay in checking in, but you should be in the hotel area in the afternoon, hopefully, so that you can pray Maghrib and Isha in the Haram and have dinner there. For non-shifting program, they have their hotels already. You will leave on the 12th of Dhul Hijjah after your last Rami Jamarat, and you go to your hotel. Now, based on your flight time, then we will advise you when to perform Tawaf al-Wada prior to leaving Mecca. And then you leave your Mecca hotel to the airport, and there is a program that actually goes to Medina, and that will be also on the 14th of Dhul Hijjah. They will actually head to Medina, and others will go to the airport, and your Hajj guide will advise you based on your program. Now, those who are going to bring Zamzam, we do provide Zamzam one per person at the airport, right? So at the airport, you'll get this box that you see on the right side, 5 liters, one per adult. It's pre-packed for checking in. It is checked in. You don't keep it in your suitcase. You check it in, even if it's the third piece of your luggage, it's still free until your first port of arrival. So if you're coming back to Washington or JFK or Toronto on Saudi Airlines or any other airlines, up until that point that where you checked in with that airline, it brings you into the first port of arrival, that's free. If you're taking a domestic flight to go back to Columbus, Ohio, in the example that I used, then you may have to argue with the domestic carrier to carry this for free. Otherwise, you'll be paying as a checked baggage. Dates, yes, you can bring dried dates, but make sure that it's packed and make sure you declare it with customs. Okay? Brothers and sisters, before I go to Q&A, I want to stop here for a moment. And I want to take 2 more minutes of your time, 3 more minutes of your time, and I want to actually go through this reminder. In the minds of many, Hajj is still about a month and a half away. Right? That's what you travel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, He says, Al-Hajju ashhurun ma'lumat. The months of Hajj are known. You are already in the month of Hajj. The month of Hajj starts immediately after Ramadan. Shawwal is a month of Hajj. Zulqada is a month of Hajj. So he's saying the month of Hajj is well known. Right? Commitment to pilgrimage is made in appointed months. You've already made that commitment. You've purchased the package. So whoever commits to performing pilgrimage, let him stay away from what? Intimate relations, foul language, and arguments during pilgrimage. Do any of you intend to use foul language or argue during pilgrimage? You'll probably say no. None of us intends to do that. Then why is he warning us? Why exactly he's saying, hey, stay away from it? As because you're likely to fall into it. With the sheer amount of people from different background, different culture, different language, different country, they all have different customs. you're likely to fall into arguing with someone or using foul language because they think differently than you do. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمْهُ اللَّهُ. And whatever good you do, Allah is fully aware of it. And He does not define the good. And that good could be just turning to your right after the salah and smiling as your brother with sincerity and saying Salamu Alaikum. That's considered sadaqah. Smiling at your brother is sadaqah. And to your left. Or helping somebody who's struggling to carry his suitcase. Or helping an elderly. Doesn't have to be with you. Doesn't have to be in your group. Doesn't have to be with your service provider. Anyone who's there for pilgrimage. Whatever you do, Allah is aware of it. I want you to consider this ayah seriously as to what this journey is all about. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتَزَوَّدُوا. This is what this webinar is all about. Where's my checklist? What do I take? How do I take it? When am I going to be using it? Take the provisions you need for the journey. Yes, you're allowed to carry things for the journey. You will need the provisions for the journey. But He's saying, فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ زَادِ التَّقْوَى. The best provision is taqwa, is consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This taqwa is what you developed in the month of Ramadan. That is the purpose of the month of Ramadan. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the month of Ramadan, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. O you who believe, Siyam, fasting has been prescribed for you, it has been prescribed for those before you, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that perchance you may be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You may rise in your consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You get closer to Him. And you all feel that in Ramadan. You all feel that spiritual high in Ramadan. And so when you say, I'm going to go across this, I'm going to be patient, being patient has a prerequisite. And a person is patient because he's conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or she's conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the prerequisite of patience. And He's telling you that. He's telling you, yes, you may take provision for the journey, but the best thing you carry with you is not the physical things. It's taqwa, is being conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That which you developed and nurtured and raised in the month of Ramadan is to be used now in Shawwal, is to be used in Zulqa'dah, is to be used when you go for Hajj, because that's what's going to be required, which is why Hajj comes after Ramadan, because you nurture that taqwa up, raise it up in Ramadan, and then you start the journey for Hajj, because that's what you're going to need in Hajj. فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ زَادِ التَّقْوَى. And as if that was not sufficient, He repeats it by saying, وَاتَّقُونِ. Be conscious of me, O you who understand. That's the whole purpose. So remember this. This is a very comprehensive meaning in this short ayah. You are already at Hajj. You've already started the journey because you made that commitment. And these are the months of Hajj. So preparing for Hajj is allowed, but the best thing is that you're conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looking for when you get there? I can tell you everything about logistics and administration, but what I cannot tell you is how you prepare your heart for this journey. Right? I want you to look at this ayah of the Quran. We're going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're going to stand before Him. What are we rehearsing when we stand before Him in the most important day of Hajj, in Arafat? We're rehearsing the standing before Him on the Day of Judgment. Arafat is a mini Day of Judgment. You're wearing the two pieces of cloth as if you're coming out of your grave, as we all will on the Day of Judgment and stand before Him. Except on that day, we will not be able to say, forgive us, because it's too late. But here in Arafat, we can say to Him and plead our case, forgive me, and ask for things. But what is He looking for? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Day of Judgment, He says, the day when you will not be able to benefit from your wealth or from your children. The wealth that we have accumulated so we can have a nice retirement or a nice house, or the children we're so proud of because one has become this, one has become that, and I have so many kids. None of that will matter. Illa, except man atallaha biqalbin salim, except for the one who comes to Allah with a sound heart. He is looking to your heart for this journey. And you alone can prepare your heart. I can't do it for you. It is something you have to do. You know, when you go around the Kaaba 7 times, people say, what do I say? That's the whole beauty of it. He's given you a blank check. Ask whatever you want to ask him. In any language you want to ask him, but please ask from your heart. Be sincere in your asking. You can seek forgiveness. You can express gratitude for the honor given to you for being there, but ask from your heart. He's looking for a sound heart. That's what he's looking for. How do you prepare your heart for this journey? Another example that I want to give you is the ayah from Surah Al-Hajj. This is in regards to the actual sacrifice you do in Hajj, right? That will be done on your behalf, where he says, the meat or the blood does not reaches Allah. What reaches him? وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ. Piety from you. And the piety resides in the heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking to your heart. So prepare your heart for this journey. If you have siblings that are not talking to you, or you're not talking to them for whatever happened years ago, mend that relationship. You tell me, but brother, but he'll never forgive me, she'll never forgive me. It doesn't matter what and how the other person reacts. What matters is that you are sincere in your heart in seeking that forgiveness. If you're holding grudge, how is it that you will stand in Arafat and say, oh, Allah, forgive me, and yet you cannot let go of this grudge? How can you stand in Arafat and say, Allah, have mercy on me? You can't have mercy on others that may have wronged you. Let it go. That is part of cleansing your heart. That's part of removing the rust from your heart. You should not have any malice in your heart. That is the hardest thing to do. But that's what Allah is looking for, a sound heart. And that's what you need to prepare for. Whether you take this or that, doesn't matter. With what heart you're going to appear before Him. That's what matters. And that's what I want to leave you with. Don't forget the spiritual dimension. It is deep. And Allah knows this. And He's looking for that. It's not that you read off of a list the du'as. It's what you ask sincerely that's coming from your heart that matters. So I want you to think about this, because that is the whole reason why you're going there. And the result of that is when you return back the day your mother gave birth to you sinless, or Hajj that is acceptable, the reward is no less than Jannah. Just imagine what you have to do to attain those two things. And more importantly, express the gratitude that of all the people, He chose to honor you, to invite you to His house, so that you can be cleansed, so you can have your name inscribed as inhabitants of Jannah. That's the mission at hand. And you need to spend time. Spend time in the morning after Fajr, reflecting on it, pleading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, make it easy for me. Allah, help me cleanse my heart. Make amends. If you hurt somebody, make amends. If you've cut off relationship, make amends. Rebuild the relationship. Seek permission from your parents. Ask them to bless you for this journey. It's so important to have the blessing of the parents if your parents are alive. This is all part of preparing your heart for the journey. Have no malice in your heart. And with that, I will come to an end, and I will stop my questions. And I have Brother Adam here and Brother Muhammad Fathi here. Both of them have been an expert in AlMuaisim camp. And I'm going to actually turn on the Q&A folder. I had terminated the ability for you to ask questions. I'm going to open it up. And now
Brother,
you
before we jump into the Q&A, maybe if you want to have Brother Muhammad Fathi and
absolutely,
Brother Adam provide any tips, since they have many, many years of Muassam.
absolutely. Brother Adam, Brother Fatih, we'll start with you, Brother Fatih. Go ahead. Brother Fatih, are you there? Okay. Brother Adam, I think Brother Fatih's.
Yeah, I'm on, but Brother Azhar, you did, I mean, a tremendous job covering all of this. I think questions would be helpful to see what people have any points to we want us to cover, but I think you covered everything great. Jazakallah khair.
Okay. I think panelists, you can also see the questions. I'm going to let the questions come through. Okay. Brother Shahid, you ask a question about guidance. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Are we required to completely shave our heads, or is it acceptable to trim a small portion of the hair instead? I would greatly appreciate advice on this matter. This is not a fiqh session, but I'm going to answer this anyway. And I don't want people to ask quick questions per se. Shaving is considered superior because of the Prophet ﷺ made dua. He had shaved his head and he says, "Oh Allah, have mercy on those who shaved their heads." And a companion who had cut his hair turned to him and said, "What about those who cut their hair?" And he turned around and says, "Oh Allah, have mercy on those who shaved their head." And the companion said, "What about those who cut their hair?" And he says, "Oh Allah, have mercy on those who shaved their head." He said that 3 times. And the fourth time he said, "On those who cut their hair." So cutting hair is permissible, but not a portion of it. You have to still go to a barber. You cannot do snip here and snip there. That's only for the ladies. For the men, even if they want to remove just half an inch or 1 inch, they still have to remove it from throughout their head. So you have to still sit in front of a barber and let the person, you tell him, "I just want some hair removed," and he will do it throughout your head. You cannot just do snip and there. That's not acceptable for a man to have a haircut, but it's preferable to have it shaved. Could you please link again where these recordings will be uploaded and when? Sister Farzana will actually see if we can have Brother Arif. I don't know whether you have access to in the chat.
I sent it to the link to you, Brother Azhar. If you can just copy and paste it, because I can't send a chat. I can't chat with everybody. It's turned off.
I don't know why it's turned off for you. Just okay. Okay, Sister Farzana will try and get that link up on the chat session for you, inshallah.
Yeah, I just sent it to you, Brother Azhar, directly.
No, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. I had to restart my laptop, so I don't have my WhatsApp on my desktop yet.
I sent it within the chat within Zoom. If you just open the chat, you'll see it there.
Okay, let me see. Oh, okay, I got it. Oh, this is the one? Okay, thank you, sir. So I can, okay, so this is the link that I've just sent to everybody. Sister Farzana, that should be good. Okay, done. What happens if connecting flight from group flight gets late to one stop and results in you missing the time of the next flight? Are they accommodating and aware of delays before the final flight? If there is a group flight that you purchase through Nusuk and there is a in-transit connection, then you will not be the only one that will miss that flight, because the group flight contains a whole bunch of people. So I'm pretty sure that the service provider will do something to arrange for if they miss that flight, connecting flight to wherever you're transiting from, and you won't be just abandoned by yourself. Imagine the group flight is at least 50 people or more. So they will have to accommodate that. But it's kind of, what if this happened? What if that happens? There are too many such questions, so I'm not going to entertain what if it happens, but I can tell you that a group flight has too many in there, and therefore you will be looked after. Safiya Chaudhary, salam, Malikum salam. Thank you for the comprehensive session. Can you please advise when the Rauda booking will open in Nusuk, if you know? Generally speaking, they're opening the Rauda at the end of the month for the following month, but I'm not so sure what they're going to do during the days of Hajj. Nobody does actually. Whether they'll go back to week, or we're going to try and work with the Hajj service provider and see if we can get a group permit. Sometimes they've allowed that, and so the Hajj guide will tell you, "I have a group permit for 100 women for this time," and we'll try to take them there, or the men for that matter. But we always advise, because group permit is not a sure thing, and that you go out and look for. So once you have the visa, you enter your visa number, and you will be enabled to actually start looking for Rauda permit. But I would say start looking towards the end of April, and it should open up for May, inshallah. Okay. My question is about my status is currently waiting to send passport to embassy. Do you have any advice on what I need to do? There is no information on the Nusuk website. So if your status is visa waiting to send passport to embassy, you're probably in one of those that has a green card or PR card. I would not send anything to the embassy at this time until you have more clarification on that, right? I don't think that means that they're going to send it to the embassy. Sometimes the embassy will tell you we have nothing to do with it, Nusuk is handling it. So wait till you have clarification because you have plenty of time now before you depart. So there's nothing for you to do at this time. But if it persists like this, let's say until the end of April or the middle of April, then we can see what we can do. Ziad Badr, I have secured a package, but I still have no one reached out to me from the travel agency. I'm still not on the Telegram or WhatsApp group. It depends on what package you purchased. For example, we're looking after Sira. There's 7 packages there. We're looking at Ikram, for example. So it depends what package you purchase. But if you have a specific package, what I can ask you to do is connect with your Hajj service provider and see how they direct you. Okay. In your past experience, where is it feasible to use a CPAP machine? Can you please use it in Mina? Brother Ahmed, yes. What you need to do is you need to identify, when the time comes, you need to identify, to your agent that you have a CPAP machine, in which case, what they try to do is try to accommodate you near an outlet, right? So that you can use it. But yeah, you can. A lot of people take CPAP machine to Mina. But make sure you identify that you have a CPAP machine so it can be used while you're in Mina. Do we have travel from Mecca to Medina? Okay, you've already answered that. What is the process for the animal sacrifice? So if you have not paid for the animal sacrifice, we have a schedule, and I don't have it handy, but I think we're
Sorry?
going.
Contemplating next steps. Huh? Okay, sorry.
What was that?
Brother Muhammad Fatih, do you mind muting yourself? Thank you.
So we had published the schedule, and I'm just pulling it up here as such, and so the week of April the 9th is when we're planning on working with you regarding the arrangements for the sacrifice, and we'll let you know more about the process. The process would be that the arrangement will be done for you to pay for the sacrifice, and it'll be done on your behalf, right? But we'll let you know on the week of April the 9th. Everything has to be done as to what is important in the sequence, right? So that we can actually process them properly. In the Sid Deluxe package, it looks like we have access to Azizia Hotel during the Mina days. How does that work? Brother Ahmed, that means that the hotel is yours. As to how you get there is the issue. So you have access to it. If you can get there, you can access your room. You can go there during the daytime. But remember, the fiqh requirement is that you must spend at least half or more of the nights in Mina. So you have to return back to Mina to spend the night in Mina. But how do you get there from AlMuaisim has to do with the transportation that might be available. What some people have done in the past is that if the hotel is not too far away from the Jamarat and looks like the M Hotel Al Dana is maybe another, I would say, 1.5 miles or so away from the Jamarat, you just have to know where you're going though. When you come to the Jamarat in the morning of the 10th of Zulhijjah, which is the day you come from Muzdalifah, you can throw your stones and you go on to your hotel because you're going to walk there. And you have access to your room, you can shower, change, and you can come back, but you have to walk back to your camp, but do so before Maghrib happens. As far as do I provide you a transportation, that all depends on what is available and the road conditions. It's not something that is clear to us and won't be until that time comes. But you will have access to that, to your room. For group flights with a stop at Qatar, given the flight conditions affected by the war there, can a group flight be changed to another stop at Turkey, or for example? Brother Ahmed, I can tell you that Qatar Airways is asking that the tickets for Hajj be issued. So the idea here is that they are issuing the tickets for Hajj, and so if the closure persists, I think what they have in the back of their mind would be rerouting. And I don't know, we don't know, no one knows exactly how the reroute will work. But as long as they're saying go ahead and issue the tickets will be issued on Qatar Airways, and I think it'll be closer to time that their decision will be made whether the flights will be opened up and everything will be fine, or you'll be rerouted. At this time, it's too early to tell. Layak Muhammad, you're saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am from Chicago, but my package starts from Dallas. In other words, your group flight starts from Dallas. Since it's adding few days to my approved vacation at work, can I book a flight from Chicago to Dubai and join the same group, or do I need to start in Dallas? If so, I need to know when I should book domestic flight to Dallas from Chicago. So two things. If you've already purchased a group flight, you have the flight. There is no change to the flight. You cannot change that flight. What you want to do is spend money by buying a separate flight from Dubai to Medina, and I'm not so sure that you can on Nusuk because that section of custom flight would probably already be booked up or closed. So you might be stuck with going from Dallas, and all that means is that you have to make a domestic flight from uh, Chicago to Dallas. Now, when should you do that? Let me see now. I think the whole idea here is that we will let you know. We'll send you the tickets, and I think the tickets will be around the week of April the 6th from Dallas, and then you can proceed from there to make your domestic booking from Chicago to Dallas. So stay with Dallas. I would not change Dallas at this time because they cannot change the group flight. You'll be wasting that ticket and paying for an extra ticket if you want to go to Dubai, provided they even allow it, which I'm not so sure they do. And so stick with Dallas and make your domestic arrangements after you see your international ticket. It'll be emailed to you. Check your spam folder twice a day in case it shows up there. And do allow sufficient time for you to claim your luggage in Dallas and check it in again. So I allow about 5 hours between my arrival from Chicago and the departure from Dallas. While we're in Azizia, are we shifting? Are we keeping our passports and valuable with us? Number one, you're not going to take your passport and valuables with you to Mina, for sure. It's going to remain in Azizia. We're trying to find out if M Hotel Al Dana has a safe in each room, in which case it'll be kept in the safe, even if you're sharing it as quad occupancy, but you will not be taking it with you to Mina. How can I join the Telegram group that sends the Zoom links? And are there any other groups that I need to join now? I think the Telegram group is pretty well exhausted because we're at the end of the sales cycle. So if you had not joined it already, if you've already bought one of the packages that is being supported with Ikram Al Daif or Sira or Yusur Al Mashayir, then I would basically I don't know whether Arif, if the Telegram channel still has a valid link or not.
No, it doesn't. So we'll be sending out the invitations for the WhatsApp group shortly.
Yeah, so those who have purchased the package will receive via email invitation to join the WhatsApp group. So those who have purchased it are being filtered out. Telegram has 8,000 people. So only those who have purchased the packages that are being supported from Ikram and Sira will receive an email that has the WhatsApp group, and then you'll be actually be able to receive an invitation and then join the appropriate WhatsApp group. So that should be going out. When is it? I'm trying to figure out what the schedule is. Isn't there one going out now, Arif?
Yes, this week they should be going out.
This week should be going out. There'll be another one going out. There'll be a program specific, but join the one that you received this week. Saqib Rahmani, when you are in Mina, you stay there for 5 days, but you can come to your hotel in Mecca if non-shifting using public transportation. Brother Saqib, there is no public transportation. The Mina area, that whole valley is shut down. For them to allow transportation inside, they control that. So if they allow the transportation, let's say they allow the bus to come in to drop you off at the Haram and you can walk to your hotel, we'll have to wait and see. But remember, if you're going there because you have your hotel room, you have to return to spend the night in Mina because that is wajib, that is required of you to spend at least half the night in Mina. So for me to answer this question, can you use public transportation? I'm not so sure you'll get public transportation. If you do, you certainly can use it. Yeah, but remember you have to get back for the evening. Otherwise, you'll have to wait and see what transportation is available for those who are non-shifting, and then basically make the decision at that time. I'm arriving from Jeddah to Medina through custom flight through Al-Musafir. Would be someone from the provider in Medina airport waiting for me. Yes, if you purchased anything through Musafir, anything through Nusuk, group or otherwise, and that flight information is known to the service provider to be there for you to be able to transfer you to the hotel. So the question is, how do you know if Adai has been performed if already pre-purchased with Nusuk? They don't give you the time for it. If you're looking for, hey, I must know what time it's going to be done, I think those who are going to end up making the arrangements for Adai through Nusuk, unless they tell us what the time is, generally speaking, you follow the ruling that says if you do 2 of 3 things, you can come out of Ihram. So this is something you can always ask in the fiqh question as such. If you pre-purchase it, will I come out of Ihram because I need to know when the sacrifice is done? That sacrifice is done in a special slaughterhouse. Just to give you an idea, they start the sacrifice in the morning after sunrise on the 10th of Dhul-Hijjah, and they continue until the sunset of the 13th of Dhul-Hijjah. They are processing approximately 1 million animals, right? Which one is yours? They don't do that. So they've allowed it because it is allowed for you to actually come out of your ihram if you have done 2 of 3 things. I would like you to ask this question in the fiqh session. A sheikh can properly answer you. And if we do find out later on that we can give you a rough estimate of a time, we will let you know. Your Hajj guide will let you know, but don't count on it. If it's available, we'll let you know. So these questions that I'm getting, I live in New York. My custom flight is from Chicago, Dallas, Doha, Medina. Can I take a flight from New York to Dallas rather than New York to Chicago? If you miss the Chicago to Dallas flight, if you miss that one segment, this is something that the airlines do. Almost all the airlines do that. You miss that first flight, it becomes a no-show, and the system automatically cancels all the remaining segments, right? So if you're trying to say, I'm going to go straight from Dallas, New York to Dallas, and then join from there, and you miss that Chicago to Dallas flight, you get to Dallas and they'll say you have no reservation because it's been canceled. So don't miss any of the flight is what I will tell you, and they are not changeable if you've already purchased that ticket. For group flights with stop at Qatar, given the flight conditions, I think I've already answered the question about group flight for Qatar. Qatar is asking us to issue the tickets, and the decision whether or not they will reroute those flights through some other place rather than Qatar Doha will be made by them at the appropriate time. It's too early for that. Shaki Mahmoud, you said you purchased Essential A and the hotels are Dana Hotel and Waqf al-Safi Hotel. Waqf al-Safi Hotel is actually, the name is called Bosphorus Waqf al-Safi. So where you saw on the map Bosphorus, that is Waqf al-Safi, okay? Do we have to shave after Umrah and make haram? Okay, for Hajj. So if you're worried about shaving early for Umrah and then you can't do it after Hajj, here's what you do. You get a buzz cut after Umrah and then you have it shaved after Hajj. Again, these are fiqh questions. I didn't expect that. I'm traveling with my elderly mom. My intention is to be a helper as possible times. Can you please speak? Any tips recommend when you have to split? Will she find sufficient help when needed? Brother Nabil, in the camps in Mina, there's no way you can go to where your mom is. She has to come out to meet you. But in the hotels, of course, you can meet and you can help her. That's not a problem, okay? But in the camps, no. But when you're traveling together in the bus, you'll arrange it with her because she has a phone so that you are together and you're helping her to the bus, you're helping her off the bus, you're carrying her bags, etc. But in the camp itself, she has to come out to meet you. I have a custom flight from Abu Dhabi to Jeddah. Should I consider switching the flight from another country not impacted by war, assuming Nusuk will allow changing flights? All the flights are open from Abu Dhabi right now, and Emirates have already opened up. We're getting bulletins every single day that says it's working. So I wouldn't worry about that, right? Brother, okay, all right. So that's the end of the questions, brothers and sisters. I know we've gone over to almost 2.5 hours. Brother Adam, would you like to have any last words? Anything you want to advise them, right?
I think on my side, again, plan accordingly, as Brother Azhar just mentioned, spiritually, physically, make sure that you're ready for this trip, inshallah, of a lifetime. And we're here to help whenever you need any help. Gonna have more of these seminars, plan accordingly as well to attend the ones that you want, the fiqh ones, the health ones, and everything else. But that will be my advice, inshallah.
Barakallah fikum, jazakallah khair. Brothers and sisters, this webinar is general logistics. Hopefully you have enough in general sense, right? And now if you know your package, and you should know your package, your hotels, whether it's Makkah first, Medina first, whether it's shifting, non-shifting, the next one will be specific. So those who are in Sira, for example, there will be a webinar for Sira 14-day package. There'll be another one for Sira 10-day package. There'll be another one for Sira that's shifting package. And similar webinars will be held for Ikram al-Dayf and Yusr al-Mashair. Between this one and that one, you'll have much more clear picture. You know, this is general logistic. Now that will be more specific itinerary of your package itself. And you can marry the two together, which is why I asked you in the beginning, just make notes, right? And this is also available as a recording that you can watch, you can see, and make further notes. And between the two, you should have your logistics in place. You should have your administrative aspects in place. And remember, that's not the end of it, because if you have further questions, we'll all be there with you. Your Hajj guide will be there to guide you on the logistical and the administrative side as well. And then separately, we'll have the fiqh sessions, which will prepare you for the spiritual aspects of it. So hopefully this is sufficient to whet your appetite, to have you understand this is a physically exhausting journey, especially for those who are AlMuaisim, even for those who are Majal al-Kabsh. Just because it's close to the Jamarat doesn't really mean that you have less walking. Lots of walking. So if you're not used to walking, start walking. Start doing a walk every day. If you can, increase the distance you cover. There's a lot of physical exertion, which is why you need rest. This is why we ask you to consider taking multivitamins. It's important for you to understand that while it is physically exhausting, it is spiritually amazing. It is spiritually amazing. To know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you as his guest itself is an honor bestowed upon you. I hope and pray that every single one person uses this opportunity to fully understand the dimensions of Hajj and takes advantage of it. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant all of us ease in this journey. And all of us are given the opportunity to perform Hajj as per the manasik of Hajj. And may Allah accept from us our manasik of Hajj and our du'as and return us home safely to our family and loved ones. The one question, someone told us that medicine are available in Mecca during Hajj. What if we needed something that is prescription and we'd run out? Sister Noreen, you take sufficient quantity so you don't run out. They do not accept the prescription from here. If you need a prescription, you have to go see a doctor, pay him money, and he will prescribe you a medicine that may not be available of the type that you're taking here. It may be something else. So don't run out. Take sufficient quantity, even extra, so you don't run out. So no, prescription medicine should be taken from here, and don't count on anything available in Mecca for you. Jazakumullah khair. Barakallah feek. Subhanakallahu bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.